In the quiet stillness of this moment, imagine a lotus pond under the gentle glow of a full moon. Each ripple on the water catches the silver light, shimmering briefly before dissolving into the depths. These ripples are like your thoughts, arising and passing, yet the pond remains untouched, vast and serene. What if I told you that within your own heart lies a stillness so profound that no storm of life could ever disturb it? According to the ancient wisdom of Zen, this peace is not something you must seek or create. It is already yours, waiting to be uncovered. Welcome to a journey through Zen stories and teachings crafted to guide you into deep relaxation, restful sleep, and a joyful awakening. As you listen, allow these words to be like soft moonlight, illuminating the path to your true nature, a nature that is boundless, clear, and inherently at ease. The way of Zen is not about adding more to your life, but about letting go of the layers of illusion that obscure what has always been there. It is about seeing with fresh eyes, meeting each moment as it is, and discovering the extraordinary within the ordinary. Picture yourself seated by this lotus pond, the air cool and fragrant with the scent of blooming flowers. With each breath, feel your body soften, your mind settle. There is no need to chase anything, no need to hold on. The moon does not cling to its reflection, nor does the pond grasp at the ripples. In the same way, Zen invites you to release your grip on fleeting thoughts and desires, to rest in the spacious awareness that holds them all. As the great Zen master Hakuin once said, "Not knowing how near the truth is, we seek it far away." The truth is not distant. It is as close as your next breath. In this moment, you are already home. Yet the mind, like a restless traveler, wanders through memories of the past and dreams of the future, missing the beauty of what is here and now. Zen offers a gentle path back to this moment, not through effort, but through presence. It teaches us to sit quietly, to listen deeply, to see clearly, not with the eyes of judgment, but with the heart of compassion. Let us begin this journey together, not by striving to become something new, but by returning to what you have always been. As you listen to these stories and teachings, allow them to wash over you like a gentle stream, carrying away tension and doubt. There is no rush, no destination to reach. Each word, each pause is an invitation to rest in the present, to touch the peace that is your birthright. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the air move through you, cool and steady like a breeze across the lotus pond. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the quiet rhythm of life within you. This breath is your anchor, your guide. As thoughts arise, plans, worries, memories, let them drift like leaves on the water's surface, neither pushing them away nor holding them close. Simply watch and return to your breath. In the silence between these words, there is a space where truth resides. It is the same silence that holds the stars, the same stillness that cradles the lotus. This silence is not empty. It is alive with possibility, rich with the potential for awakening. Zen does not ask you to believe in anything, but to experience directly, to see for yourself what lies beyond the chatter of the mind. As we embark on this exploration, know that you are not alone. The wisdom of countless Zen masters, poets, and seekers flows through these teachings, preserved across centuries to meet you here, now. Their voices whisper in the rustle of leaves, in the soft lap of water against the shore. They remind us that life, in all its imperfection, is the perfect teacher. Every joy, every sorrow, every ordinary moment is a gateway to understanding. So, settle in, dear listener. Let your body relax, your mind grow quiet. Picture the lotus pond, its flowers unfolding one by one under the moon's tender gaze. Each story we share, each teaching we explore, is a petal of that lotus, revealing the heart of awakening. There is nothing to do but listen, breathe, and be. In this moment, you are enough. In this moment, you are whole. With gratitude for your presence, we begin. As the moonlight dances across the lotus pond, its silver glow weaving through the delicate petals, let us settle deeper into the stillness of this moment. Picture the water's surface, stirred gently by ripples that catch the light before fading into the depths. These ripples are like the thoughts and emotions that move through your mind, fleeting, ever-changing, yet often mistaken for the essence of who you are. In the rush of daily life, we chase these ripples, grasping at pleasant ones, resisting the painful, and losing ourselves in their endless dance. But Zen offers a profound truth: you are not the ripples. You are the vast, serene pond, untouched by their comings and goings. This is where our journey begins, with the practice of recognizing the ripples of the mind and learning to observe them without being swept away. In Zen, this is the heart of Zazen, or sitting meditation, but its wisdom extends far beyond the cushion into every moment of life. It is about seeing clearly, resting in the spacious awareness that holds all experience, and finding freedom in the simple act of being present. Through stories, teachings, and gentle guidance, let us explore how to watch the mind with kindness and curiosity, uncovering the peace that lies beneath its restless waves. Imagine a fisherman by a river, his story passed down through generations in a quiet village nestled among emerald hills. Each dawn, he waded into the swift current, net in hand, chasing the silver flashes of fish beneath the water. His brow furrowed, his arms tense. He lunged after every flicker, but the fish were quick, slipping through his grasp like fleeting dreams. Day after day, his net remained empty, his heart heavy with frustration. Why is it so hard, he wondered, sitting on the riverbank, the water's song mocking his efforts. One morning, an old monk wandered by, his robes swaying gently in the breeze. Seeing the fisherman struggle, he paused and asked, "Why do you chase the fish so fiercely?" The fisherman sighed, "If I don't catch them, I'll have nothing to sell, nothing to live on." The monk's eyes twinkled with a quiet knowing. "Try this," he said. "Sit still by the water's edge, hold your net lightly, and let the fish come to you." Doubtful but weary, the fisherman obeyed. He sat on the bank, his breath slowing, his gaze softening on the river's flow. To his astonishment, the fish began to swim closer, some brushing against his net, others gliding into its folds. By dusk, his basket brimmed, not because he chased, but because he waited. This story holds a key to Zen when we chase our thoughts, trying to control or suppress them. We stir the waters of the mind, creating more turmoil. But when we sit still, observing without grasping, the mind begins to settle, and clarity emerges naturally. The fisherman's net is like your awareness open, steady, patient. It does not force or demand. It simply receives what comes. In Zazen, we cultivate the same quality, watching thoughts and emotions as they arise, neither clinging to them nor pushing them away. Pause for a moment. Dear listener, close your eyes if you feel comfortable and notice your own mind. Is there a thought stirring a plan for tomorrow, a memory from yesterday, a flicker of worry or joy? Can you see it as a ripple on the pond, rising and falling on its own? There is no need to chase it or fight it. Simply watch, as you would watch leaves drifting down a stream. Take a slow, deep breath, feeling the air move through you, cool and steady. Return to this moment, this breath, this stillness. Another teaching comes through a Zen koan, a riddle designed to spark insight beyond the limits of thought. A young monk once approached his teacher under the shade of an ancient pine. "Where does the wind come from?" he asked, his voice eager. The master gazed at him, the breeze rustling through the needles above. "Where does your mind come from?" he replied. "Show me its source, and I will show you the wind." The monk retreated to his meditation mat, searching for the origin of his thoughts. He traced memories, followed desires, but found no beginning. Days passed, his mind a whirlwind of questions. At last, in a moment of quiet, he laughed. The wind does not come from anywhere, nor do thoughts. They arise, move, and pass, like breezes through an open sky. This koan invites us to release the need to pin down our thoughts and instead observe their nature. Thoughts are like clouds drifting through the vastness of your awareness. Some are light and fleeting, others heavy with emotion, but none define the sky itself. In Zen, we learn to rest in this sky-like awareness, watching the clouds without becoming entangled. This is not about stopping the mind an impossible and unnecessary goal, but about changing our relationship to it. When we stop identifying with every ripple, we discover a spaciousness that is always present, always free. Let us deepen this understanding with another story, one of a woman who lived in a bustling market town. Her days were filled with noise, the clatter of carts, the chatter of vendors, the cries of children. Her mind, too, was a marketplace, crowded with worries about her family, her work, her future. Unable to find peace, she sought out a Zen teacher who lived in a modest hut beyond the town's edge. "My mind is never still," she confessed. "How can I find calm amidst such chaos?" The teacher handed her a small, polished stone. "Carry this with you," he said. "Each time you feel overwhelmed, hold it, feel its weight, and take 3 slow breaths." The woman returned to her life, the stone in her pocket. At first, she forgot it, lost in her usual rush. But one day, as a customer argued loudly and her heart raced, she remembered the stone. She slipped her hand into her pocket, felt its cool, smooth surface, and breathed deeply once, twice, 3 times. The noise didn't vanish, but it seemed to soften, as if the world had stepped back. Over time, she reached for the stone often when her children quarreled, when bills piled up, when sleep eluded her. Gradually, she noticed something remarkable. The stone was not the source of her calm. It was her pause, her breath, her choice to return to the moment. This story reminds us that peace is not found by silencing the world, but by shifting our attention. The stone was a tool, a reminder to pause and observe. In Zen, we use the breath in much the same way a simple anchor to bring us back to presence. The mind will wander. That is its nature. But each time we notice and return, we strengthen our capacity to rest in awareness, no matter how loud the marketplace of life becomes. Try this practice now, if you wish. Find a comfortable position, whether sitting upright or lying down. Let your body relax. Your shoulders drop. Your hands rest gently. Bring your attention to your breath, noticing the coolness as you inhale, the warmth as you exhale. There is no need to change your breathing. Simply observe its natural rhythm. If a thought arises, a plan, a memory, a sensation, acknowledge it softly, as you would nod to a passerby. Then return to your breath. If your mind wanders 100 times, return 100 times. There is no failure here. The act of returning is the practice itself. In Zazen, we sit with this intention, but the practice is not confined to meditation. It weaves into the fabric of daily life, transforming how we meet each moment. Imagine you're driving in traffic, late for an appointment, your chest tight with frustration. The mind spins, blaming the cars ahead, rehearsing what you'll say when you arrive. In that moment, pause. Feel your hands on the steering wheel, the rhythm of your breath. Notice the thoughts as ripples urgent, but not you. Ask, what is here? Right now. You may find that the frustration is not a solid wall, but a wave that ebbs when you stop feeding it. From this space, you can respond with clarity, perhaps even with a smile. Another Zen story brings this teaching to life. A student, new to the monastery, sat in meditation each day, determined to master her mind. But thoughts flooded in memories of home, doubts about her path, plans for the future. Frustrated, she went to her teacher. "My mind is a storm," she said. "I try to meditate, but I fail." The teacher handed her a small bell. "Ring this when your mind is perfectly still," he said. The student sat for hours, waiting for silence, but thoughts kept arising. She grew tense, chasing the elusive calm. One day, exhausted, she rang the bell, not because her mind was still, but because she noticed a thought and let it go. The teacher, hearing the chime, nodded. "That," he said, "is meditation." This story reveals a paradox. The goal of Zen is not to eliminate thoughts, but to meet them with openness. The bell did not ring for a silent mind, but for a mindful one. Each time you notice your mind wandering and gently bring it back, you ring your own bell of awareness. Over time, this practice reshapes how you relate to your inner world. Thoughts lose their power to pull you away. Emotions soften their grip, and you begin to rest in the spaciousness that holds them all. Let us explore one more metaphor, drawn from the natural world. Picture a vast, clear sky at dawn, its expanse unbroken by a single cloud. As the day unfolds, clouds appear some wispy and light, others dark and heavy with rain. They drift across the sky, changing shape, sometimes gathering, sometimes dissolving. Yet the sky remains unchanged, vast and untroubled. Your mind is like this sky, and your thoughts are the clouds. Some are bright with hope, others heavy with fear, but none alter the sky's essence. In Zen, we learn to abide in this sky-like awareness, watching the clouds without mistaking them for the whole of who we are. This understanding can transform how we navigate life's challenges. Consider a moment of anger. Perhaps someone's words stung, or an injustice sparked a fire within you. The mind races, weaving stories of blame, urging you to react. In that moment, pause. Feel the heat in your body, the quickening of your pulse. Notice the thoughts as clouds, intense but passing. You might say to yourself, anger is here, but I am not anger. This simple act of observation creates a space between you and the emotion. A space where choice becomes possible. From here, you can respond with wisdom, perhaps speaking firmly but kindly, or choosing silence until clarity arises. Another story from a Zen monastery high in the mountains illustrates this beautifully. A young monk, diligent but impatient, struggled with meditation. His mind was a torrent. Memories of his childhood village, worries about his progress, fantasies of enlightenment. One day, he confessed to his teacher, "I cannot meditate. My thoughts are too many." The teacher led him to a cliff overlooking a valley, where a river wound like a silver thread below. "Look at the river," the teacher said. "Does it stop because of the rocks in its path? Does it cling to the banks? It flows, always moving, yet always present." The monk watched the river, its surface sparkling, its current steady. He began to see his thoughts like the river's flow constant, yet not his enemy. Returning to his mat, he sat not to stop his thoughts, but to let them flow, resting in the awareness that held them. This teaching reminds us that the mind's movement is natural, like the river's journey to the sea. To resist it is to create suffering. To observe it is to find freedom. In Zazen, we practice this observation, but its essence is available in every moment. Washing dishes, you can feel the warmth of the water, the weight of the plate, and notice thoughts as they drift by. Walking to work, you can feel your feet on the ground, hear the hum of the world, and let worries pass like clouds. Even in conversation, you can listen deeply, aware of your mind's reactions, yet anchored in presence. As a practical step, try this in your daily life. Choose a simple activity: brushing your teeth, drinking a glass of water, or waiting in line. Bring your full attention to it. Notice the sensations, the sounds, the textures. If your mind wanders, gently bring it back, just as you would return to your breath in meditation. This is mindfulness in action, a way to weave Zen into the fabric of your day. Over time, these moments of presence accumulate, softening the edges of stress, deepening your connection to life. Let us close this section with a final reflection. Your mind, dear listener, is a lotus pond. Its ripples, a natural part of its beauty. There is no need to force them to still. Simply watch, with the same tenderness you would offer a child learning to walk. Each thought, each emotion, is a guest in the guest house of your awareness. Some are welcome, others challenging, but none stay forever. When you meet them with kindness, without clinging or aversion, you touch a freedom that does not depend on a quiet mind, but on a spacious heart. Take a slow breath now, feeling the air fill your lungs, then release it softly. Notice the sensations in your body, the sounds around you. If your mind is restless, that is okay. If it is calm, that is okay too. All are ripples, and you are the pond, deep, unshaken, whole. As we continue our journey, we will explore how this awareness guides us through life's ever-changing waves, revealing the peace that is always within reach. Rest here, under the moon's gentle light, by the lotus pond. Let the ripples come and go, and know that you are home. As the moonlight continues to shimmer across the lotus pond, its gentle glow cradles each petal in a silver embrace. The water's surface holds the moon's reflection, perfect and fleeting, trembling with every ripple. We gaze at this reflection, captivated by its beauty. And yet, if we reach to grasp it, the water stirs and the image vanishes. So it is with the things we hold dear in life, relationships, possessions, dreams, even our sense of self. We cling to them, believing they define us, only to find that our grasping creates ripples of suffering. Zen offers a different path to let go of attachment, not by rejecting what we love, but by meeting it with an open heart, free from the need to possess. In this second step of our journey, we explore the art of letting go. Attachment, in the Zen sense, is not about love or care, but about the mind's tendency to cling to things as if they were permanent, as if they could complete us. Like the moon's reflection. Everything in life is beautiful, yet transient, arising and passing in the dance of existence. Through stories and teachings, let us learn to release our grip, to rest in the spaciousness that allows life to flow as it is. In this release, we find a freedom that does not depend on having or keeping, but on being fully present with what is. Picture a painter who lived by a tranquil lake, his story whispered among the reeds. Each night, he sat by the water, entranced by the moon's reflection, its soft glow, its quiet perfection. Determined to capture its beauty, he set up his easel, dipped his brush in ink, and began to paint. But each stroke sent ripples across the lake, scattering the moon's image. The more he tried, the more the reflection fractured, until the water was a chaos of waves. Exhausted, he dropped his brush and looked up. There, in the sky, the moon shone steadily, untouched by his efforts. A passing Zen teacher, seeing his struggle, spoke softly. Why paint the reflection when you can behold the moon? Let the water be, and see what remains. The painter sat still, his breath slowing, his eyes resting on the lake. As the ripples faded, the moon's reflection returned, whole and luminous. He realized his mistake in trying to possess the beauty. He had disturbed it. The next night, he left his easel behind and simply gazed, his heart open, his hands empty. The moon was no less beautiful for being ungraspable. This story teaches us that attachment is like chasing the moon's reflection. We long to hold on to moments, people, or things, believing they will bring lasting happiness. But in our grasping, we create suffering, for nothing in life stays still. Zen invites us to let go, not by turning away, but by appreciating without needing to own. Pause for a moment. Dear listener, bring to mind something you hold tightly, perhaps a relationship, a goal, or even a fear. Notice how it feels in your body, the tension of clinging, the weight of wanting things to stay the same. Now, take a slow breath and imagine this thing as the moon's reflection on the pond. Can you see its beauty without reaching for it? Can you let it be, trusting that its presence does not require your grip? Breathe again, softening, releasing. In this moment, you are enough, just as you are. Another story carries this teaching further. Set in a village where a stone bridge spanned a rushing river, a young man, deeply in love, built this bridge for his beloved, hoping it would keep her close. Each stone was laid with care, each arch a promise of forever. But when the bridge was complete, she crossed it and left, her heart drawn to a distant path. The man stood on the bridge, his chest tight with grief, cursing the stones that failed him. A Zen teacher, passing through saw his sorrow and asked, "Why do you cling to the bridge?" The man replied, "I built it to keep her here, but it led her away." The teacher gazed at the river. The bridge holds the traveler's steps, but not her heart. Let her go and see what flows. The man sat by the river, watching its ceaseless current. At first, his mind replayed her departure, each memory a stone in his heart. But as he breathed with the river's rhythm, he began to see love was not in keeping her, but in wishing her well. He let go, not of his love, but of his need to control it. The bridge remained, a testament to his care, but no longer a chain. This story reminds us that attachment often disguises itself as love. We build bridges of expectations, plans, or demands hoping to secure what we cherish. But true connection arises when we release our need to possess, allowing others and ourselves to be free. In Zen, letting go is not about indifference or loss. It is about seeing things as they are impermanent, fluid, like the moon's reflection. The Buddha taught that clinging is the root of suffering, not because we desire, but because we believe that getting what we want will make us whole. Yet when we look closely, we see that even the sweetest moments fade and new ones arise. The joy of a warm meal, the comfort of a friend's voice, the thrill of success, all are precious, yet none last forever. To let go is to savor them fully while they are here, without demanding they stay. Try this practice now. If you feel ready, find a comfortable position. Your body relaxed, your breath steady. Bring to mind something you're holding on to, perhaps a worry, a hope, or a resentment. Picture it as a leaf floating on the pond. Notice its shape, its color, its weight. Now, imagine the water carrying it gently downstream, out of sight. You don't need to push it away. Simply let it drift. Take a deep breath and feel the space left behind, a lightness, an openness. This is the beginning of letting go, a small step toward freedom. Another Zen teaching comes through a koan, a riddle that points beyond words. A student asked her master, "What is the sound of a single leaf falling?" The master replied, "Let go of the tree, and you will hear it." The student sat beneath an oak, waiting for a leaf to fall, her ears straining. She heard the wind, the birds, the rustle of branches, but no single leaf. Days passed, her mind restless with effort. One evening, as the sun dipped low, she released her focus, her heart softening. A leaf fell, its whisper clear and fleeting. She smiled, not because she heard it, but because she stopped trying to hold the moment. This koan teaches us that attachment is a kind of noise, drowning out the subtle beauty of life. When we cling to outcomes, identities, or even our idea of peace, we miss the quiet truths unfolding around us. Letting go is like tuning the mind to hear the leaves fall, not by grasping, but by opening. In Zazen, we practice this by sitting with whatever arises, thoughts, sensations, emotions, without trying to change or keep them. Over time, we learn to meet life with the same openness, releasing our need to control its flow. Let us explore another story, one of a merchant in a bustling city. His life was a ledger of gains and losses, his heart tethered to his wealth. Each coin he earned was a treasure, each loss a wound. Fearing ruin, he locked his gold in a heavy chest, checking it daily, his sleep haunted by dreams of thieves. One day, He sought a Zen teacher, hoping for relief. "My wealth consumes me," he admitted. "How can I find peace?" The teacher handed him a small, empty bowl. "Fill this with what you cannot lose," she said. The merchant returned home, puzzled. He tried filling the bowl with coins, but they spilled over. He poured in water, but it leaked through cracks. He added sand, but the wind carried it away. Frustrated, he sat with the empty bowl, his breath ragged. In the silence, he noticed the rise and fall of his chest, the steady pulse of life within him. He laughed, realizing the bowl was already full of presence, of being. He began to give his wealth away, not all at once, but with a lighter heart, trusting that what truly mattered could not be taken. This story shows us that attachment to things, money, status, even our fears binds us to a cycle of lack. Letting go reveals what is already whole within us. In daily life, we can practice letting go in small, meaningful ways. Consider a moment of disappointment. Perhaps a plan fell through, or someone let you down. The mind clings, replaying what should have been, tightening with resentment. Pause. Feel the emotion in your body, the knot in your stomach, the heat in your chest. Ask, is this mine to hold? Take a breath and imagine releasing it, like dropping a stone into the pond. Notice the ripples, but don't follow them. This act of release does not erase the disappointment, but it frees you from its grip, opening space for new possibilities. Another practice is to let go of a small habit. Perhaps you check your phone compulsively, seeking connection or distraction. For one day, try pausing before reaching for it. Feel the urge, the itch to grasp, and let it pass. Notice what arises in its place, perhaps a moment of quiet, a chance to notice the world around you. These small acts of letting go build a habit of freedom, teaching us to hold life lightly, like the moon's reflection on water. One more story brings this teaching home. Set in a mountain temple where a young monk tended a garden. He loved a single peony, its petals of vibrant pink against the green. Each day, he watered it, shielded it from storms, and worried when its leaves drooped. When autumn came, the peony withered, its petals falling to the earth. Heartbroken, he went to his teacher. "I cared for it so well," he said, "yet it died." The teacher knelt by the bare stem. "Its beauty was not in staying," she said. "It was in blooming, then returning to the earth. Can you love it still?" The monk sat with the withered plant, his breath steady. He saw the soil, rich with the peony's gift, ready to nurture new life. He let go, not of his care, but of his need for the flower to endure. This story reminds us that letting go is an act of trust in life cycles, in the unfolding of each moment. We do not stop loving or caring. We release the illusion that we can hold things forever. In Zen, this is the path of non-attachment, not a cold detachment, but a warm, open-hearted presence that embraces life's impermanence. When we let go, we make room for joy, for connection, for the unexpected beauty that arises when we stop trying to control. As a final practice, try this before you sleep tonight. Reflect on your day and choose one thing you're holding onto: a worry, a hope, a regret. Picture it as a leaf on the lotus pond. Whisper to it, "You are free to go." Let it float away, carried by the water's gentle current. Take a deep breath and feel the lightness in your heart. This is the gift of letting go, a peace that does not depend on keeping, but on being. Dear listener, rest here by the lotus pond, the moon's reflection trembling on the water. Your attachments, like ripples, are part of life's beauty, but they are not you. Let them come and go, and know that you are the pond, deep, vast, unshaken. As we continue our journey, we will explore how this freedom deepens, guiding us to live with a beginner's mind, open to the wonder of each moment. Take a slow breath, feeling the air move through you, the stillness within. The moon shines above, its light a reminder what you seek is already here, in the heart of this moment. Beneath a canopy of stars, a meadow stretches wide, its grasses swaying in the cool night air. Fireflies pulse like tiny lanterns, their light weaving a delicate tapestry across the dark. Each blade of grass, each flicker of glow, seems to meet the night as if for the first time, unburdened by yesterday's shadows or tomorrow's promises. This is the spirit of beginner's mind, a Zen teaching that beckons us to greet life with the wide-eyed wonder of a first encounter. When we release the weight of what we think we know, our judgments, habits, and certainties, we step into a world where every moment sparkles with possibility, where the ordinary unveils its hidden radiance. In this third step of our journey, we delve into the practice of beginner's mind, a way of seeing that softens the rigid edges of familiarity and opens us to the mystery of the present. Unlike the mind of an expert, crowded with answers, the beginner's mind is a clear sky, ready to receive each star as it appears. Through stories, teachings, and gentle guidance, let us rediscover the art of seeing life anew, as if each breath were a fresh dawn. In this openness, we find a joy that needs no reason, a peace that blooms in the heart of the now. Picture a girl in a village, her story carried on the wings of a summer breeze. One afternoon, she knelt in a field, captivated by a dandelion puff, its seeds trembling in the wind. To her, it was not a weed, but a constellation, each seed a wish waiting to soar. She blew softly, watching the seeds dance skyward, her heart alight with delight. That evening, she ran to her grandfather, a farmer weathered by years of toil. "Look at the wishes," she said, holding out another dandelion. He chuckled, brushing it aside. "Just a weed. Child, they ruin my crops." Undeterred, she tucked the dandelion into her pocket, its magic intact. Decades later, the grandfather, now frail, sat in the same field, his hands tracing the earth. He spotted a dandelion, its seeds glowing in the twilight. Remembering his granddaughter's joy, he picked it, held it to his lips, and blew. The seeds floated upward, and for a moment, he saw them as she had not weeds, but wishes, each one a spark of wonder. His heart softened, not for the dandelion, but for the years he had spent seeing only what he expected, blind to the poetry beneath his feet. This story teaches us that beginner's mind is a gift we all carry, often lost in the rush of adulthood. The girl saw a constellation because her eyes were free. The farmer saw a weed because his were clouded. Zen calls us to clear those clouds, to greet life with the curiosity of a child. Pause, dear listener, and rest here in the starlit meadow. Bring your awareness to something simple, the rhythm of your breath, the rustle of the night, the weight of your hands. Can you meet it as if it were brand new? Feel the air flow through you, alive and fleeting, like a breeze across the grass. Listen to the sounds around you, not as background, but as a chorus unfolding for the first time. There is no need to name or analyze, simply be with it. Take a slow breath and let this moment shine. Unfiltered and radiant, another teaching comes through a Zen tale, whispered in the halls of an ancient temple. A poet, celebrated for his verses, sought a Zen master to deepen his craft. As they sat beneath a cherry tree, its blossoms drifting like snow, the master offered him a bowl of rice. The poet, expecting profound words, began to eat, his mind racing with questions. The master watched, then asked, "What does the rice taste like?" The poet paused, realizing he hadn't noticed. He took another bite, slowly, and found it sweet, earthy, alive. "Your poems are beautiful," the master said, "but they are full of yesterday's rice. Empty your bowl and taste this moment." The poet set aside his ambitions, his mind quiet. His next poem, simple and raw, moved hearts not for its cleverness, but for its truth. This story reminds us that beginner's mind is a practice of presence, a willingness to let go of our mental baggage, our plans, our expertise, our need to impress. In our world, we are often taught to know, to predict, to control. Yet Zen suggests that true wisdom lies in not knowing, in approaching each experience with an empty bowl, ready to receive. When we taste the rice of this moment, we discover a richness that our assumptions obscure. To see with fresh eyes is to live fully, not in the past or future, but in the vibrant now. Try this now, if you feel called. Find a comfortable position, your body at ease, your breath soft. Bring to mind something you take for granted, a daily task, a familiar face, or even a part of yourself. Picture it as a firefly in this meadow, glowing briefly before fading. Can you see it without the labels you've given it? If it's a task, notice its textures, its rhythms, as if you're doing it for the first time. If it's a person, imagine meeting them anew, their words a fresh melody. If it's you, let go of old stories. I'm this, I'm not that, and simply be. Take a deep breath and rest in this openness, this beginner's heart. Another story unfolds in a bustling port town where a shipbuilder crafted vessels of unmatched skill. His hands knew every knot, every plank, his designs honed by years of mastery. But as time passed, his work grew stiff, his ship sturdy but uninspired. One day, a girl watched him carve a prow, her eyes bright with questions. "Why do you make the same ship every time?" she asked. The shipbuilder frowned. "I know what works," he replied. The girl pointed to the sea, where waves curled and crashed. "Does the sea ever repeat itself?" she said. Her words echoed in his mind. That night, he walked to the shore, watching the waves, each one unique, alive, with its own rhythm. He returned to his workshop, his hands uncertain but curious. He carved a new prow, not from memory, but from the sea's wild song. The ship that emerged was unlike any other, graceful, daring, a dance of wood and water. Sailors spoke of it with awe, not for its perfection, but for its spirit. The shipbuilder learned the beginner's mind is not just seeing, but creating, allowing the unknown to shape us, trusting the flow of life's endless waves. In Zen, beginner's mind is often called don't know mind, a state of humility that embraces uncertainty. As Shunryu Suzuki taught, in the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. This teaching invites us to meet each moment with a question, not an answer. What is this? What is here? When we let go of our need to define, we open to the mystery of existence. A smile, a breeze, a fleeting thought all become portals to awakening. Not because they are new, but because we see them anew. Let us explore a koan to illuminate this truth. A student asked her master, "What is the taste of rain?" The master replied, "Open your mouth and tell me." The student stood in a storm, raindrops falling on her tongue, but her mind churned with descriptions cool, fresh, metallic. She returned, offering words, but the master shook his head. "Not the words," he said, "the taste." She stood in the rain again, her thoughts quieting, her mouth open. The rain was simply rain, alive, indescribable. She laughed, not because she understood, but because she didn't need to. The koan had dissolved, revealing the freedom of direct experience. This koan teaches us that beginner's mind is about tasting life, not explaining it. In our daily lives, we often wrap experiences in labels good, bad, boring, missing their raw essence. Beginner's mind asks us to peel away these layers, to meet the world as it is. When we listen to a friend, can we hear their voice without assuming we know their story? When we face a challenge, can we approach it without the baggage of past failures? This practice opens us to possibilities we might otherwise overlook. Like fireflies hidden in the grass, try this in your daily life. Choose a moment that feels ordinary, brushing your teeth, waiting for a bus, or sipping water. Approach it as if you've never done it before. If you're brushing, feel the bristles, the foam, the rhythm of your hand, as if it's a new discovery. If you're waiting, notice the air, the sounds, the movement of people, as if you've just arrived in this world. If you're drinking, savor the water's coolness, its journey across your tongue, as if it's your first sip. This act of fresh seeing can turn the mundane into a moment of magic. Another story, from a Zen hermitage perched on a cliff, brings this teaching to life. A monk, diligent but proud, memorized every chant, every ritual, believing mastery was the path to enlightenment. One day, he led a ceremony, his voice flawless, his movements precise. Afterward, he sought his teacher's approval. The teacher pointed to a sparrow darting through the sky. "What is its song?" he asked. The monk recited a sutra about impermanence. The teacher sighed. "Not the sutra, the sparrow." The monk sat outside, listening. At first, he heard only his own thoughts, analyzing, comparing. But as he softened, the sparrow's chirp became a melody, clear, fleeting, alive. He returned to his teacher, not with words, but with wonder. This story reminds us that beginner's mind is a practice of listening, not just with our ears, but with our whole being. In our modern lives, we are often distracted, our attention fragmented by screens, schedules, and endless tasks. We eat while scrolling, talk while planning, live while worrying. Zen invites us to pause, to meet each moment with full presence. When we listen to a sparrow, a friend, or our own heart with beginner's mind, we hear not just sound, but life itself, speaking in its quiet, endless language. Let us deepen this with another story, set in a market square where a baker kneaded dough each dawn. Her bread was loved, but her days felt heavy, each loaf a repetition of the last. One morning, a boy lingered by her stall, watching her hands. "Why do you make bread the same way every day?" he asked. The baker shrugged. "It's what I know." The boy grinned. What if the flower wants to be something else? Intrigued, she let him toss in herbs, shape a loaf into a spiral. The bread was odd, imperfect, but the villagers adored it, drawn to its playful spirit. The baker began to experiment, her hands guided by curiosity, her heart light. She learned that beginner's mind is not just seeing, but trusting, allowing life to surprise us. Like dough, rising in unexpected ways. In daily life, beginner's mind can transform how we face uncertainty. Imagine a moment of doubt, perhaps a new job, a difficult decision, or a change you didn't choose. The mind clings to what it knows, fearing the unknown. Pause. Take a breath and ask, what if I don't need to know? Approach the situation as if it's your first, noticing its details, the possibilities, the questions, the space for growth. This practice does not erase fear, but it opens a path through it, like a firefly lighting the dark. Another practice is to rediscover yourself. We often carry fixed ideas. I'm not patient. I'm bad at art. I always worry. These are like worn paths, guiding us to the same destinations. Beginner's mind invites us to step off the path. Try something new, writing a poem, planting a seed, speaking your truth, and approach it as if you've never failed or succeeded. Notice what stirs a flicker of joy, a quiet strength. This openness allows us to rewrite our story, not as who we were, but as who we might become. One final story from a windswept plain where a nomad roamed with her herd. Her life was simple grass, sky, the bleating of goats, but her mind was restless, always planning the next move. One night, a Zen teacher camped nearby, his fire a beacon in the dark. She joined him, sharing her unease. I know every path, she said, but I feel lost. The teacher pointed to the stars. What do they say? She listed their names, their patterns, learned long ago. He shook his head. Not their names, their light. She gazed upward, her mind quiet. The stars were not a map, but a dance, each one a spark of now. From that night, she walked with fresh eyes, each step a new journey. This story reminds us that beginner's mind is not about changing the world, but changing how we see it. The stars had not moved. The nomad's gaze had. In Zen, this shift is awakening a gentle opening to the present, where every moment is a first. When we meet life with beginner's mind, we find that joy is not in the extraordinary, but in the ordinary. Seen anew, a dandelion's wish, a sparrow's song, a breath's quiet gift. As a final practice, try this as you drift towards sleep. Recall one moment from your day, a glance, a sound, a touch. Imagine it's your first time experiencing it. See the details, the curve of a smile, the hum of a street, the warmth of your hand. Let go of any story about it and simply be with its aliveness. Take a deep breath and let this fresh seeing carry you into rest. This is beginner's mind, a starlit path to the heart of now. Dear listener, rest here in the meadow, the fireflies weaving their gentle light. Your certainties, your habits, are like breezes, part of the night's beauty, but not its essence. Let them pass and see the world with a beginner's heart. You are the meadow, open and vast, ready to hold the stars. As we continue, we will explore how this openness flowers into compassion, uniting us with all life in a tender embrace. Take a slow breath, feeling the night's quiet pulse, the wonder all around. The stars shine above, their light a whisper in this moment. You are whole, and the world is yours to meet anew. In the tender hush of twilight, a forest breathes softly, its ancient trees stretching toward a sky dusted with the first stars. A slender brook weaves through the undergrowth, its waters catching glimmers of fading light, murmuring secrets to the mossy stones. Fireflies drift like embers, their glow a delicate pulse in the gathering dusk, each one a note in the forest's silent symphony. A fox pauses by the brook, its eyes reflecting the stars, its presence woven into the tapestry of life. This is the essence of compassion, a Zen teaching that flows like the brook, binding all beings in a quiet, unbreakable embrace. When we pierce the veil of separateness, compassion blooms effortlessly, not as a burden, but as the heart's natural song, resonating with the shared rhythm of existence. In this fourth step of our journey, we delve into the practice of compassion, a way of being that springs from the deep truth of our interconnectedness. Unlike pity, which distances us from another's pain, or obligation, which ties us to duty, Zen compassion is a river that runs freely, embracing joy and sorrow with equal tenderness. Through stories, teachings, and gentle guidance, let us open our hearts to this river, learning to meet ourselves, others, and the world with a kindness that asks nothing in return. In this embrace, we discover a peace that does not seek to fix what is, but loves it as it is, a peace that holds all beings in its boundless light. Picture a seamstress in a forest hamlet, her story carried on the wings of twilight. Each dawn, she sat at her window, stitching garments that clothed her neighbors through the seasons. Her fingers danced with thread, weaving warmth into every seam. One autumn, a wanderer arrived, his cloak tattered, his face etched with weariness. Without a word, the seamstress offered him a shawl, its fabric soft with her care, its colors glowing like the forest's leaves. The wanderer draped it over his shoulders, his eyes meeting hers briefly before he vanished into the dusk. Days later, she saw the shawl in the village square, traded for a loaf of bread. Her heart tightened had her gift been cast aside. She sought a Zen teacher, her voice heavy. I gave with kindness, but he sold my work. Why does it ache? The teacher led her to the brook, where water slipped over smooth pebbles. Does the brook ask the pebbles to stay? He asked. It gives because it flows, not because it seeks reward. The seamstress watched the water, its generosity untroubled by the stone's stillness. She returned to her needle, stitching a new shawl, not for thanks, but because her heart was a spring, overflowing. Months later, the wanderer returned, his face alight. He knelt, not with goods, but with a story her shawl had fed him when hunger gnawed, its warmth a lifeline through the cold. This story teaches us that compassion is a gift, not a bargain. When we give without clinging to outcomes, our heart becomes a brook, nourishing all it touches, its ripples spreading beyond our sight. Pause, dear listener, and rest here by the forest's whispering brook. Place a hand over your heart, feeling its steady pulse, a quiet drumbeat linking you to all life. Can you sense its warmth, its rhythm echoing the forest's breath? Picture someone you love, their presence a soft glow in your mind. Now picture someone who stirs unease, their words or actions a shadow. Can you hold them both in this warmth, without choosing one over the other? Take a slow breath, letting your heart soften, like a leaf unfurling in the twilight. In this moment, compassion takes root, a quiet bloom in the stillness of your being. Another teaching comes through a Zen tale, etched in the memory of a woodland shrine. A novice monk, diligent but quick-tempered, bristled at a fellow monk who dawdled during chores, leaving tasks undone. Each laugh from the idle monk felt like a thorn, each neglected duty a weight on the novice's shoulders. He sought his teacher, his voice sharp. How can I be kind to someone so careless? The teacher handed him a lantern, its flame small but steady. Carry this through the forest at dusk, she said, and keep the flame alive. The monk walked cautiously, shielding the light from the breeze, his frustration fading as he focused on the path. When he returned, the teacher asked, "Where is your anger now?" He smiled. The lantern's glow mirrored in his eyes. It had dimmed, replaced by the flame's quiet call. The teacher spoke gently. Compassion is this lantern. It does not choose who to illuminate, it simply shines. Your anger is a gust, but your heart is the flame. Tend it, and it will warm even those who seem unworthy. The monk began to see his fellow monk's laughter as a shield, hiding a heart bruised by loss. He offered help, not with resentment, but with silent care, and their bond grew. Not because the idle monk changed, but because the novice saw his pain. This story reminds us that compassion begins within, a light we nurture by recognizing that all beings carry hidden burdens. In Zen, compassion is not an act, but a seeing we are not separate, but leaves on the same tree, trembling in the same wind. Try this now. If you feel called, find a comfortable position, your body at ease, your breath soft. Rest your hands gently, one over the other, feeling their warmth. Picture a moment when someone's actions hurt you a harsh word, a forgotten promise. See their face, but let the story blur. Imagine they carry a sorrow you cannot see, a weight carved by life's unseen hands. Silently whisper, "May you find peace." Take a deep breath, letting this wish ripple outward, like the brook's current. Notice your heart. Does it feel lighter, more open? This is compassion's seed, sprouting in the fertile ground of your awareness. Another story unfolds in a fishing village by a restless sea, where a midwife brought life into the world with steady hands and a warm voice. Her skill was a beacon, but her heart grew heavy. For some births ended in silence. One stormy night, a mother labored through the dark, her cries mingling with the wind. The midwife fought to save the child, but dawn brought only stillness. Grief crushed her, she had failed. She sought a Zen teacher, her eyes red. I gave my all, but it wasn't enough. How can I go on? The teacher led her to the shore, where waves surged and retreated. Does the sea mourn each wave that breaks, he asked. It loves by flowing, not by holding. The midwife sat by the sea, its rhythm a mirror of her breath. She saw that her care, like the waves, was not judged by its staying, but by its giving. She returned to her work, her hands still tender, her heart now free to love without needing to win. Years later, the mother returned, not with sorrow, but with a woven basket, a thank you for the midwife's presence in her darkest hour. This story teaches us that compassion is not about erasing pain, but about standing with it, offering our heart's quiet strength. When we let go of the need to fix, our kindness becomes a wave, touching lives in ways we may never know. In Zen, compassion flows from the truth of interdependence, the understanding that all beings are threads in life's vast weave. The Heart Sutra chants, "Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. A melody of unity, no one exists alone. Each of us a fleeting shape, born from and dissolving into the boundless web of existence." When we see this, compassion is not a choice, but a reflex, like the brook, flowing because it is full. To wound another is to wound ourselves. To heal another is to heal all. This is the Bodhisattva's vow, a Zen path of living for the benefit of all beings, not as a sacrifice, but as the heart's natural song. Let us explore a koan to deepen this wisdom. A student asked her master, "How can I love those who harm me?" The master pointed to a cedar by the brook, its branches swaying in the storm. "Does the cedar curse the wind that bends it?" he said. The student sat beneath the tree, feeling the wind's force, some gusts soft, others fierce. She saw that the cedar yielded to all, its strength in its bending. She returned, her heart softer, not with an answer, but with a willingness to bend. The koan dissolved, revealing that compassion does not choose, it embraces, like a tree weathering the storm's wild dance. This koan teaches us that compassion is boundless, flowing even toward those who challenge us. In our lives, we often guard our kindness, offering it to those we deem deserving while withholding it from others. Yet Zen asks us to see that all beings, friend or foe, share the same fragile, fleeting life. When someone frustrates us, can we pause and imagine their unseen struggles? When we falter, can we cradle ourselves with the same tenderness we offer a loved one? This practice widens the heart, not by effort, but by seeing the truth. We are all sparks in the same fire, dancing in the twilight. Try this in your daily life. Choose a moment when you feel a spark of judgment toward a colleague's error, a stranger's impatience, or your own misstep. Pause, take a breath, and picture the brook, its waters flowing without pause. Whisper to the person or yourself, we are all carried by the same stream. Let the judgment drift like a twig on the current. Notice the shift, perhaps a softening, a glimpse of connection. This small act of compassion can transform a moment of division into one of unity, a bridge across the heart's divides. Another story from a Zen retreat nestled in a pine grove brings this teaching to life. A gardener, gentle but shy, tended the monastery's herbs, her hands coaxing life from the soil. One monk, brusque and demanding, often criticized her work. Her rosemary was too sparse, her mint too wild. The gardener's chest tightened, her joy dimming. One evening, she overheard the monk's confession he feared failing his vows. His harshness, a shield for doubt, moved. She planted a sprig of lavender by his door, its scent a silent gift. The monk breathed it in, his sharpness easing, and their paths crossed with new warmth. The gardener's heart lifted, not because he softened, but because she saw his fear. This story reminds us that compassion is a practice of seeing beyond surfaces, beyond words, to the heart beneath. In our hurried world, we often pass others by, seeing only their actions kind, cruel, indifferent. Zen invites us to linger, to look deeper. When we meet someone with compassion, we offer them the rare gift of being seen, a gift that heals both giver and receiver. This seeing extends to ourselves, too. When we stumble, can we pause and offer kindness, recognizing our shared humanity? Let us deepen this with another story. Set in a highland meadow where a shepherd guided her flock. Her days were long, her love for her sheep fierce, but her heart grew heavy when wolves prowled. One night, a wolf took a lamb, its cry piercing the dark. The shepherd's anger flared. She wanted vengeance. She sought a Zen teacher, her voice raw. "How can I forgive a thief of life?" The teacher led her to a cliff, where the valley stretched below, wolves and sheep grazing in its folds. "Who is the thief?" he asked. "All seek to live." The shepherd watched the valley, seeing the wolves hunger, their cubs as fragile as her lambs. Her anger softened, not into passivity, but into understanding. She built stronger pens, not to kill, but to protect, her heart open to the wolves' need. One dawn, a wolf lingered near, its eyes meeting hers, not with threat, but with a shared pulse of life. This story teaches us that compassion embraces even those we fear, seeing their needs as part of life's delicate balance. In Zen, compassion is not blind. It acts wisely, protecting without hatred, loving without clinging. Another tale from a market town carries this wisdom further. A cobbler crafted shoes with care, his hands shaping leather for feet weary from travel. One day, a thief stole a pair, slipping away in the crowd. The cobbler's heart sank, his work, his livelihood, gone. He sought a Zen teacher, his voice bitter. "Why should I care for someone who takes?" The teacher handed him a single thread. "Sew with this," she said, "and see what holds." The cobbler returned to his bench, the thread too short for a shoe. Frustrated, he saw a beggar, barefoot and shivering. With the thread, he patched the beggar's soul, a small act of care. The beggar's smile warmed him, and the cobbler's bitterness faded. Not because the thief was caught, but because his heart found a new stitch. This story shows us that compassion is a thread, weaving us into life's fabric. When we give, even in small ways, we mend not just another's need, but our own heart's frayed edges. In our lives, we often hold back, fearing our kindness will be wasted. Zen teaches that no act of compassion is lost. It ripples, like the brook's current, touching lives in unseen ways. This is the Bodhisattva's way, a life of quiet giving, not for reward, but because we are one. As a final practice, try this as you ease towards sleep. Reflect on your day and choose a moment of disconnection, perhaps a harsh exchange, a moment of self-doubt, or a fleeting loneliness. Picture the forest's brook, its water shimmering under the stars. Imagine this disconnection as a leaf caught in an eddy, held by the current's gentle pull. Whisper, "May all beings be held in kindness." Let the leaf drift, carried by the brook's flow. Take a deep breath and feel your heart's quiet bloom, a compassion that cradles all in its tender light. Dear listener, rest here by the twilight brook, the fireflies weaving their silent dance. Your judgments, your separations, are like breezes part of the forest's breath, but not its soul. Let them pass and hold the world with compassion's gentle grace. You are the forest, vast and woven, alive with life's shared song. As we continue, we will explore how this unity deepens, revealing the dance of form and emptiness in the heart of the now. Take a slow breath, feeling the twilight's quiet pulse, the kindness within. The brook sings on, its murmur a vow in this moment. You are whole, and all beings are your kin. atop a windswept cliff, where the earth yields to the vastness of the sky. An ocean unfurls its endless song, waves weaving patterns of foam against the rocky shore below. Gulls glide on invisible currents, their cries a fleeting melody, while the sea's breath mists the air, carrying the scent of salt and eternity. Each wave surges, bold and singular, only to dissolve into the boundless deep from which it rose, a dance of coming and going, of form and formlessness. This is the essence of non-duality. A Zen teaching that hums beneath the surface of all things form the vivid, fleeting shapes of life and emptiness, the infinite. Ungraspable void are not separate, but one, entwined in a ceaseless, radiant flow. In this unity, there is no I apart from the world, no boundary between self and sea, only the seamless pulse of being. As we continue this journey, the practice of non-duality invites a seeing that pierces the illusion of division, revealing the world as a single, living tapestry, where the mind carves lines between joy and sorrow, self and other, birth and death. Non-duality offers a vision of wholeness, like the ocean holding each wave in its embrace. Through stories, teachings, and gentle guidance, let us step into this vision, meeting life not as fragments, but as a boundless whole. In this seeing, a peace arises, not by resolving opposites, but by dissolving them. A freedom that cradles both the waves' rise and its return in a heart as vast as the sea. Consider a navigator, his story etched in the salt-crusted logs of a weathered ship. For years, he sailed treacherous waters, his hands calloused from gripping the helm, his eyes fixed on distant horizons. Storms were his adversary, their towering waves a threat to his control, his survival. One night, a gale roared, the sky black, the sea a chaos of churning foam. His heart raced, fear tightening his chest as he battled to steer, each wave a foe to be conquered. Exhausted, his strength waning, he stumbled, collapsing against the mast, certain the ocean would swallow him whole. In that moment of surrender, a stillness bloomed within a flicker of clarity amid the storm's roar. He saw the stars, faint but unwavering, mirrored in the sea's fleeting calm. A Zen teacher, a silent passenger, approached through the gale's howl. "Why do you war with the sea?" she asked, her voice steady as stone. "It is your enemy only because you stand apart." The navigator's breath caught, his mind racing through years of struggle storms fought, ports won, always separate, always striving. Her words stirred something deep, a memory of his childhood, standing on a shore, feeling the tides pull as if it were his own pulse. He rose, not to fight, but to listen, his hands lighter on the helm. The waves were no longer foes. They were his breath, his fear, his life, rising and falling in the ocean's vast rhythm. At dawn, the storm passed, and he stood on deck, not triumphant, but whole, his heart no longer divided from the sea's endless dance. This story unveils the inner shift of non-duality, where the navigator's fear, born of seeing himself as separate, dissolved into a recognition of unity. His struggle was not with the sea, but with his own mind, carving a line between self and world. In Zen, non-duality is this awakening to see fear, joy, or sorrow as waves, distinct yet inseparable from the ocean of being. The navigator's surrender was not defeat, but a return to his true nature, a heart that flows with the tide, free from the illusion of apartness. Rest now on this cliff. The ocean's murmur, a soft cradle. Bring your awareness to the breath, its rise and fall, a quiet tide within. Feel its rhythm, its kinship with the waves below, the wind's sigh, the gull's fleeting calls. Picture a moment of inner tension, perhaps a worry, gnawing at the edges of your mind, a grief you carry, or a joy you fear to lose. Can you see it as a wave, vivid in its form, yet woven into the sea of your awareness? Take a slow breath, letting the boundary between you and this moment blur, like mist, merging with the air. In this softening, non-duality whispers, all is one. A single breath in the vastness of now. Another tale, woven from the threads of a seaside hamlet, carries this truth deeper. A calligrapher, her hands steady with years of practice, brushed ink across rice paper, each stroke a meditation. Yet, her heart was restless, her art a pursuit of perfection, each scroll a measure of her worth. One day, she painted a single wave, its curve bold, but it felt flat, lifeless. Her chest tightened with doubt, memories of her teacher's praise now a shadow of failure. She sought a Zen master, her scrolls scattered like fallen leaves. I see the wave, but it does not sing, she said, her voice heavy with longing. The master led her to the shore, where the tide carved fleeting shapes in the sand. Paint the sea within the wave, he said. She sat by the ocean, her brush still, her mind a storm of questions. What was the sea? She recalled her youth, diving into waves, feeling their weightless pull, her body dissolving into their flow. Days passed, her paper blank, her heart wrestling with the self that demanded mastery. One dawn, as a wave curled and sighed, she saw it, not the wave alone, but the sea, formless, yet holding all forms. Her brush moved, a single stroke of blue, not a wave, but the ocean's breath. The scroll hummed with life, not because it was perfect, but because it was whole. The master nodded. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. The wave is the sea. The sea is the wave. This story mirrors the Heart Sutra's chant. A Zen hymn of non-duality formed the vivid world of waves, hands, and heartbeats as emptiness, the boundless void from which all arises. Emptiness is form, manifesting as the tangible beauty we touch. The calligrapher's struggle was her separation, seeing the wave as apart from the sea, her art as apart from herself. Non-duality is this seeing her doubt. Her strokes, her longing were waves, vivid yet inseparable from the ocean of her being. In letting go of her need for perfection, she found her art's true song, a reflection of the whole. Try this practice. If you feel drawn, find a comfortable position. Your body relaxed, your breath soft. Picture a single object, a pebble, a candle, a blade of grass. See its shape, its texture, its presence. Now imagine its edges dissolving, merging with the air, the earth, the light. Can you hold it as both solid and fluid? Form and emptiness. Recall a moment when you felt separate, perhaps a conflict, a moment of self-doubt. See it as a wave, real yet fleeting, part of the sea of your awareness. Take a deep breath, resting in this unity, where nothing stands apart, where all is the dance of now. Another story. From a cliffside village, delves into the heart's quiet shift. A basket weaver crafted vessels from reeds, her fingers nimble, her creations cherished. Yet her soul ached, for each basket, no matter how strong, would one day fray. She mourned their impermanence, each tear in the weave a wound in her heart. One evening, a basket split under the weight of a harvest, its reeds spilling across the earth. Her chest constricted, memories of her mother's hands, once guiding hers, now gone, echoing in the broken weave. She sought a Zen teacher, her voice trembling. Why must they unravel, she asked, her hands clutching the shards. The teacher gathered the broken reeds, their fibers still fragrant with the river's breath. Is the basket gone? Or is it still here, he asked. The reed is the basket is the earth. The weaver sat with the fragments, her mind tracing their journey from riverbed to her hands, from form to formlessness. She saw her mother's hands, not lost, but woven into her own, into the reeds, into the earth's endless cycle. Her grief softened, not erased, but held in a wider embrace. She wove anew, not to defy unraveling, but to honor the reed's fleeting dance. Each basket a note in life's eternal song. The weaver's inner journey reveals non-duality's depth. Her grief was not separate from her love, nor her baskets from the earth. In Zen, non-duality sees beyond beginnings and endings, form and formlessness. The basket's breaking was its continuation, as reed, as soil, as life. This truth touches all we hold dear, our bodies, our dreams. Our losses are forms, vivid yet transient, arising from and returning to emptiness. To see non-duality is to cradle this flow, to love the basket not despite its unraveling, but because it is the earth's breath. In daily life, non-duality can reshape how we meet impermanence. Picture a moment of change, a relationship shifting, a season fading, a body aging. The heart resists, yearning for what was, fearing what's next. Pause. Feel the breath. It's tide within you, echoing the ocean's pulse. See this change as a wave, real in its form, yet part of the sea's vastness. Whisper. The two is the whole. This practice does not erase longing, but expands the heart, holding both the wave's crest and its dissolution in a boundless embrace. Another tale, from a Zen temple carved into the cliff's face, illuminates this truth. A scribe, meticulous but haunted, copied sutras by candlelight, each character a prayer, yet he feared mistakes, each smudge a failure etched in his soul. One night, a gust extinguished his candle, spilling ink across the page. His heart sank, years of striving undone. Memories of his father's stern voice, be flawless, ringing in his ears. He sought his teacher, the ruined scroll in hand. My work is lost, he said, his voice breaking. The teacher traced the ink's wild arcs. Is the sutra the ink, or the heart, she asked, or the silence beneath? The scribe sat with the scroll, his mind a storm of shame. He recalled his father's death, the weight of unspoken love, now mirrored in the smudged ink. Days passed, his heart wrestling with the self that demanded perfection. One dawn, he saw the ink's chaos as a dance, not a flaw, but a reflection of life's untamed flow. He copied anew, not to erase mistakes, but to weave them into the sutra's song. The teacher smiled, seeing his heart shift. This story shows that non-duality embraces both the form of our efforts and the emptiness of their flaws. The scribe's shame and his love as waves in the same sea. Let us explore a koan to deepen this wisdom. A monk asked his master, "Where is the line between self and world?" The master pointed to the horizon, where sea met sky. "Where does the sea end and the sky begin?" he said. The monk watched, seeing the horizon blur in the dawn's haze, the sea's mist rising into the sky's embrace. He sat for weeks, seeking the line, his mind tracing boundaries, his body, his thoughts, the world beyond. One evening, as a wave crashed, he felt it in his chest, a pulse without division. He laughed, not for an answer, but for the truth. There was no line, only the dance. The koan dissolved, revealing that self and world are not two, but one, like sea and sky in their endless embrace. This koan unveils non-duality's heart. The illusion of separation is the mind's creation. In our lives, we often feel apart, my pain versus yours, my life versus the world's chaos. Yet Zen reveals these as waves in the same ocean, forms in the same emptiness. When we see this, our heart shifts, not by force, but by truth. We listen with patience, act with care, live with ease, knowing we are not alone, but the sea itself, flowing through all things. Try this practice in your daily life. Choose a moment of inner division, perhaps a judgment of another, a fear of failure, or a sense of isolation. Pause. Feel the breath, its rhythm a tide within, linking you to the ocean's song. Picture this division as a wave, vivid yet fleeting, part of the sea's vastness. Whisper, "I am this, and this is all." Let the division soften, like mist rising from the tide. This practice opens the heart, dissolving the lines we draw, revealing the unity beneath. Another story from a windswept dune carries this wisdom further. A kite maker crafted wings of silk and bamboo, each one a dream of flight. She loved their soar, but grieved their falls, each tear in the silk a wound in her heart. One day, a kite snapped in a gale. Its frame splintered. Her chest ached. Memories of her brother, a dreamer lost to the sea, stirring in the wreckage. She sought a Zen teacher, her hands trembling. "Why must they break?" she asked. The teacher lifted the broken kite, its silk fluttering. "Is the kite the silk, or the wind?" he said. "Or the sky it dances in?" The kite maker sat with the fragments, her mind tracing her brother's laughter, his dreams woven into her own. She saw the silk as bamboo, the bamboo as earth, the wind as breath, the sky as boundless. Her grief did not vanish, but widened, holding her brother, the kite, the world in its embrace. She crafted anew, not to defy breaking, but to dance with the wind's fleeting song. This story teaches us that non-duality sees the kite's flight and its fall as one, the maker's grief and her love as waves in the same sea. In Zen, this seeing is freedom, a heart that loves without fear, trusting the sky's endless hold. As a final practice, as you ease toward rest, reflect on your day and choose a moment that felt apart, a joy, a sorrow, a quiet thought. Picture the ocean, its waves curling under the stars. See this moment as a wave, vivid yet part of the sea's vastness. Whisper, "Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form." Let the moment merge with the ocean's flow, its edges dissolving. Take a deep breath, feeling the unity within, a peace that holds both the wave and the sea in its boundless heart. Rest now on this cliff, the ocean song a gentle lullaby. Your fears, your joys, are like waves, part of the sea's dance, not its essence. Let them flow, and see the world with non-dual eyes, a world where all is one, a single breath in the vastness of now. As we continue, we will explore how this unity blossoms into presence, each moment a spark of awakening. Take a slow breath, feeling the wind's quiet pulse, the wholeness within. The ocean hums on, its waves a vow in this moment. You are the sea, and all is whole. Nestled in a serene mountain valley, where ancient peaks cradle the heavens, a waterfall spills like a silken veil, its crystalline threads cascading through mist to embrace a tranquil pool below. Wildflowers sway in the gentle breeze, their petals catching sunlight in fleeting bursts of color, as if whispering prayers to the dawn. The valley hums with a quiet symphony, the soft trill of crickets, the rustle of leaves, the ceaseless murmur of water weaving through stone. Each droplet in the waterfall gleams, singular in its descent, yet inseparable from the pool it joins, a delicate dance of moment and eternity. This is the heart of living awake, a Zen teaching that beckons us to pour full presence into every breath, every act, transforming the ordinary into a sacred offering. In this awakening, there is no chasm between the mundane and the divine. Every gesture stirring a pot, threading a needle, or pausing to breathe is Zen itself, a portal to the boundless now. As this journey unfolds, the practice of living awake invites us to meet life with unwavering attention, not as a checklist of duties to dispatch, but as a vibrant tapestry woven from moments of pure being, where the mind often scatters, chasing regrets or plotting futures. Living awake is a clear chime, resonating in the heart of each instant. Through stories, teachings, and gentle guidance, let us thread mindfulness into the fabric of existence, discovering that every act, eating, walking, listening, holds the seed of awakening. In this presence, a joy blooms, not from grasping at something new, but from resting fully in what is, a freedom that finds the infinite in the fleeting, the eternal in the simple. Imagine a tea merchant in a mountain village. Her story carried on the valley's whispering winds. For decades, she prepared tea with meticulous care, her hands measuring leaves with precision, her eyes gauging the water's steam to the perfect moment. Yet, her heart was a restless wanderer, tangled in a web of worries, unpaid debts, dwindling customers, and the weight of her brother's illness, a shadow that clung like damp moss. Each morning, she served tea, but tasted nothing, her mind adrift in a sea of what-ifs. Memories of her childhood, when she danced barefoot in the village square, dreaming of far-off lands, haunted her, now buried beneath the grind of survival. Her hands moved, but her soul was elsewhere. Each day a blur of routine, each sip a missed moment. One crisp morning, a Zen teacher, his robe swaying like the valley's grasses, paused at her stall. He sipped her tea slowly, his gaze steady, piercing the veil of her distraction. "Where are you when you pour?" he asked, his voice soft as the waterfall's murmur. Her breath caught, a flicker of her brother's laughter before the sickness took his strength stirring in her chest. "I'm here," she said, but her voice trembled, betraying the lie. The teacher handed her a clay cup, warm from the tea. "Drink?" he said. She hesitated, her fingers brushing the cup's rough edge, a memory of her mother's hands, once guiding hers, surfacing like a forgotten song. She sipped, and for the first time in years, she tasted the tea, its sharp bitterness, its subtle sweetness, its warmth spreading through her like a quiet dawn. Her worries did not vanish, but they paused, held in the tea's gentle embrace. "When you pour, pour," the teacher said. "When you drink, drink." She returned to her stall, her hands unsteady, her heart cracking open. She poured tea, feeling the kettle's weight, the steam's caress on her skin, the leaves' faint rustle. Each act became a meditation, a tether to the present. Her brother's face, pale but hopeful, filled her mind, not as a burden, but as a call to be here, now. Over months, her stall thrived, not because her tea changed, but because her presence did, each cup a small awakening. When her brother recovered, she wept, not just for his health, but for the tea's daily gift, a heart alive, fully awake in the moment's flow. This story unveils the inner shift of living awake, where the merchant's distraction, a mind fractured by worry, gave way to presence. Her struggle was not the tea, but her absence from it, her heart lost in a labyrinth of elsewhere. In Zen, living awake is this homecoming to pour with full attention, to drink with full being, to meet each moment as a sacred act. The merchant's awakening was not a thunderous revelation, but a quiet unfolding. Her hands, her breath, her life woven into the valley's eternal now. Rest now in this valley. The waterfall's song, a soft cradle. Bring awareness to the breath, its gentle tide mirroring the water's flow. Feel its rhythm, its kinship with the valley's pulse, the breeze's sigh, the wildflowers dance. Picture a routine moment, perhaps stirring a meal, threading a needle, or sitting in silence. Can you meet it as if it were new, its textures and rhythms alive with presence? Take a slow breath, letting the moment bloom, like a petal kissed by dawn. In this presence, living awake takes root, a quiet step into the heart of now. Another tale, spun from the threads of a Highland hamlet, delves deeper into the heart's awakening. A woodcarver shapes cedar into beams for the village's homes, his chisel a steady extension of his will. Yet, his soul was a restless sea, each cut a reminder of his father's unfulfilled dreams, a wanderer who died young, leaving only stories of distant lands. The woodcarver worked, but his mind drifted to debts piling like stones, to his daughter's future, to the life he might have lived if he'd followed his father's path. Each strike of the chisel was mechanical, his heart heavy with a legacy of longing. His childhood memories of carving toys under his father's gaze now a distant ache. One dusk, a Zen teacher, her presence calm as the valley's pool, watched him work, her eyes tracing the chisel's arc. "What do you carve?" she asked. "Wood," he muttered, his shoulders tense, his father's voice echoing, "Be strong, never falter." She touched a finished beam, its grain smooth as water. "Or is it your heart?" The woodcarver paused, his chest tightening, years of striving heavy as cedar. The teacher handed him a small, rough branch. "Shape this," she said, "but feel each cut." He worked slowly, feeling the chisel's bite, the wood's resistance, the shavings curling like memories. His mind, once a storm, quieted, each cut a breath, each chip a release. He saw his father's dreams, not his failure, but his love, woven into his own hands. His daughter's smile a continuation of that legacy. He carved on, not to escape, but to be present, each beam a meditation, his heart no longer a weight, but a living pulse. The village home stood stronger, not for the wood's perfection, but for the woodcarver's presence, each cut a prayer. This story shows that living awake transforms labor into practice. The woodcarver's inner turmoil softening as he met each moment with full attention, his longing and love one in the valley's quiet song. Try this practice. If you feel called, find a comfortable position, body relaxed, breath gentle. Picture a daily task, cooking, writing, or walking. See yourself doing it, but slowly, as if it's a first encounter. If cooking, feel the knife's weight, the vegetable's texture, the scent rising. If writing, notice the pen's glide, the paper's grain, the word's birth. If walking, sense the ground's touch, the air's caress, the rhythm of steps. Take a deep breath, resting in this act, where nothing is ordinary, where all is Zen. This is living awake, a practice of presence that turns each moment into a sacred thread, another story from a Zen hermitage cradled in the valley's embrace. Explores the heart's quiet shift. A weaver, young and fervent, wove tapestries by candlelight, her loom a canvas for her dreams. Yet her mind was a cage, trapped by fear of imperfection, each thread a test of her worth. She recalled her grandmother's death, the stories they wove together, now a weight of loss, her hands faltering with each memory. One night, a thread snapped, unraveling her work. Her heart sank, shame flooding her, the echo of her grandmother's voice be flawless, cutting deep. She sought her teacher, the ruined tapestry in hand. "I've failed," she said, her voice breaking. The teacher traced the broken threads, their fibers a wild river. Is the tapestry the thread, or the heart, he asked? Or the space between? The weaver sat with the loom, her grandmother's laughter vivid in the flickering light. She saw the snap, not as failure, but as her heart's cry, a mark of her humanity. Days passed, her loom still, her soul wrestling with the self that demanded perfection. One dawn, she wove anew, letting the threads dance, flaws and all. The tapestry sang, not for its flawlessness, but for its truth, her grandmother's love woven into each fiber. The teacher nodded, seeing her heart's awakening. This story unveils that living awake embraces imperfection, the weaver's inner struggle transforming as she met each thread with presence, her pain and love, one in the moment's weave. In Zen, living awake is the art of full presence, not a destination, but a practice. The Master Dogen taught, to study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by all things. This forgetting is not erasure, but a dissolving of the self's edges, a return to the valley's pulse, where each act carving wood, weaving threads. Breathing is a communion with life. When we live awake, the ordinary becomes sacred, each moment a chime resonating in the heart of now. Let us explore a koan to deepen this truth. A monk asked her master, "What is the taste of one moment?" The master replied, "Live it and show me." The monk sat, her breath slow, her mind seeking the taste, each sensation, each thought. A fleeting flavor? She heard her doubts, her hopes, but no single taste. Months passed, her heart heavy with effort, memories of her sister, lost to a flood, stirring in the silence. One evening, as she stirred a pot, the steam's warmth touched her face, and she felt her sister's smile in her hands, not separate, but part of the moment's flow. She returned, not with words, but with a quiet nod. The koan dissolved, revealing that the taste of one moment is all moments, one in the valley's endless song. This koan teaches that living awake savors the moment as life itself, not a task, but a dance. In our lives, we often hurry, our attention splintered by distractions devices, worries, ambitions. Zen invites us to pause, to meet each moment with full presence, to taste the world in each breath, each act. When we stir a pot, walk a path, or listen with this attention, we awaken, not to something new, but to what has always been here, the valley's quiet pulse, alive in every gesture. Try this in your daily life. Choose a moment that feels mundane, eating, cleaning, or waiting. Meet it with full presence, as if it's your only purpose. If eating, savor the food's texture, the warmth of the spoon, the flavors unfolding. If cleaning, feel the cloths glide, the water's touch, the rhythm of your hands. If waiting, sense the air, the body's quiet pulse, the moment's depth. Pause. Take a breath, resting in this act, where nothing is small, where all is Zen. This practice weaves presence into life's tapestry, each moment a spark of awakening. Another story from a windswept ridge carries this wisdom further. A lantern maker crafted lights for the village, her hands shaping paper and bamboo into glowing orbs. Yet, her heart was a shadowed cave, each lantern a reminder of her son, lost to fever, his laughter now a memory. She worked, but her mind drifted, her grief a heavy veil, her childhood memories of lighting lanterns with her son now a piercing ache. One night, a lantern tore, its light dimming. Her chest ached, the loss fresh as the day it struck. She sought a Zen teacher, her hands clutching the broken frame. Why must they fail? She asked, her voice raw. The teacher lit the lantern, its glow soft through the tear. Is the light the paper, or the flame, he said, or the darkness it holds? The lantern maker sat with the lantern, her son's face vivid in the flickering light. She saw the tear, not as loss, but as her heart's opening, the flame alive despite the break. Days passed, her grief a river, flowing yet held in the valley's embrace. She crafted anew, not to hide the tears, but to let them shine. Each lantern a prayer for her son, for all who grieved. The village glowed brighter, not for the lantern's perfection, but for their truth. Her heart no longer shadowed, but awake. This story shows that living awake embraces both light and shadow. The lantern maker's inner journey transforming as she met each moment with presence. Her grief and love, one in the flame's quiet dance. Another tale from a valley meadow deepens this truth. A musician played the koto, her fingers coaxing melodies from strings, each note a breath of beauty, yet her soul was a restless tide. Each performance a test, her mother's unfulfilled dreams, a singer silenced by war echoing in her heart. She played, but her mind wandered to audience's praise, to her fears of fading, to the life she might have lived if she'd chosen freedom over duty. One evening, a string broke, its note jagged. Her heart raced, shame flooding her. Her mother's voice be perfect, cutting deep. She sought a Zen teacher, her koto silent. "I've failed," she said, her voice trembling. The teacher plucked a single string, its note lingering. Is the music the string, or the silence, she asked, or the heart that plays? The musician sat with the koto, her mother's songs vivid in the quiet. She saw the break, not as failure, but as her heart's cry, a note in life's melody. Days passed, her fingers still, her soul wrestling with the self that demanded flawlessness. One dawn, she played anew, letting the notes flow, breaks and all. The music sang, not for its perfection, but for its truth. her mother's dreams woven into each string. The teacher smiled, seeing her heart's awakening. This story unveils that living awake embraces the music of imperfection, the musician's inner struggle transforming as she met each note with presence, her pain and love one in the valley's quiet song. As a final practice, as you ease toward rest, reflect on your day and choose a moment, a task, a conversation, a quiet breath. Picture the valley's waterfall, its drops sparkling in their descent, each one a moment, each one whole. See this moment as a drop, vivid, yet part of the pool's embrace. Whisper, "This is Zen." Let the moment flow, merging with the valley's song. Take a deep breath, feeling the presence within, a joy that holds each drop in its boundless heart. Rest now in this valley, the waterfall's song, a gentle cradle. Your distractions, your sorrows, are like drops, part of the pool's dance, not its essence. Let them flow and meet the world with awake eyes, a world where every moment is a bell, ringing in the heart of now. As we continue, we will explore how this presence deepens, weaving all moments into the eternal present. Take a slow breath, feeling the valley's quiet pulse, the awakening within. The waterfall sings on, its drops a vow in this moment. You are whole, and all is Zen. In the tender hush of dawn, a luminous grove awakens, its ancient trees standing like silent sentinels, their gnarled branches reaching toward a sky painted with the first whispers of rose and gold. At the grove's heart lies a lake, its glassy surface a canvas of lotus blossoms, each petal unfurling in delicate reverence to the morning's light. The air pulses with the grove's gentle rhythm, birdsong threading through the canopy, the soft lapping of water against mossy stones, the faint rustle of leaves kissed by a breeze carrying the earthy scent of damp soil and blooming flowers. Each lotus, radiant in its singular beauty, floats upon the lake's embrace, yet is woven into its waters, a seamless dance of form and flow, of moment and eternity. This is the essence of Zen, a teaching that calls us to dwell fully in the present, where every breath, every glance, every heartbeat is a lotus blooming, a sacred offering to the now. In this presence, there is no past to cling to, no future to pursue, only the boundless radiance of what is alive in the eternal moment. As this journey draws to its close, the practice of living in the present gathers the threads of mindfulness, non-attachment, beginner's mind, compassion, non-duality, and awakened presence, weaving them into a tapestry that reveals each moment as a gateway to awakening. Where the mind often strays, ensnared by yesterday's echoes or tomorrow's shadows, living in the present is a clear flame, illuminating the heart of each instant. Through stories, teachings, and gentle guidance, let us return to the now, discovering that every act sipping water, listening to a friend, or pausing to breathe holds the fullness of existence. In this return, a joy unfolds, not from chasing, but from resting in what is, a freedom that finds the infinite in the fleeting, the eternal in the simple. Picture a storyteller in a grove-side village, her tale spun from the dawn's first light. The village square is a patchwork of cobblestones, worn smooth by generations, framed by thatched cottages with smoke curling from chimneys into the crisp morning air. Children gather on woven mats, their laughter mingling with the clatter of wooden carts and the distant crow of a rooster. The storyteller, Mira, sits beneath an ancient oak, its leaves whispering secrets in the breeze. Her shawl a faded patchwork of blues and greens, stitched by her mother's hands. For years, she has woven tales of dragons and wanderers. Her voice, a river that carries the children to distant lands. Their eyes alight with wonder. Yet, her heart is a restless pilgrim, shadowed by doubt. Her stories, though beloved, feel hollow, a pale echo of her father's unfulfilled dream to be a poet. His verses, once recited under starlit skies, now a silent ache. Each evening, as the sun dips below the hills, painting the sky in hues of amber and violet, Mira spins her tales, but her mind drifts to the applause she craves, to the fear of fading into obscurity, to the childhood nights when her father's voice, rich and warm, wove poems that made the stars seem closer. Those memories, once a spark, now weigh like stones. Her dreams of freedom buried beneath the village's expectations. Her father's illness, which stole his voice before his death, lingers in her chest, a knot of unspoken love. Each story she tells a plea to keep his spirit alive, yet a reminder of her own unwritten verses. One radiant morning, as dew glistens on the oak's leaves and the scent of wild mint wafts through the square, a Zen teacher, her robes the color of dawn mist, joins the children. Her presence as quiet as the lake's ripples. Mira tells a tale of a phoenix rising from ashes, her voice steady, but her heart elsewhere, tangled in thoughts of her father's lost poems. As the story ends, the teacher meets her gaze, her eyes piercing the veil of Mira's distraction. "Where are you when you weave your tale?" she asks, her voice soft as the grove's breeze. Mira's breath catches, a memory of her father's laughter before sickness dulled his light, stirring like a forgotten ember. "I'm here," she says, but her voice trembles, betraying the truth. The teacher hands her a smooth, river-worn stone from the lake's edge, its surface cool and flecked with quartz that glints in the sunlight. "Hold this," she says, "and tell a story to it." Mira hesitates, her fingers tracing the stone's contours, a flicker of her father's hand, once guiding hers to write, surfacing like a half-remembered dream. She sits alone by the lake, the stone in her palm, its weight grounding her. She speaks, her voice barely a whisper, telling of a girl who danced with the wind, a story she never shared, born from her childhood dreams. For the first time, she feels each word, its cadence, its warmth, her heart present in the telling. The lake's gentle lapping a quiet chorus. Her doubts do not vanish, but they pause, cradled in the stone's silent hold. "When you tell, the teacher says. "When you listen, listen." Mira returns to the square, her voice unsteady, her heart cracking open like a lotus petal. She weaves a new tale, feeling the words' rhythm, the children's breaths, the oak's gentle sway. Each story becomes a meditation, a tether to the now. Her father's face, etched with pride, fills her mind, not as loss, but as love, woven into her voice. Over months, her tales grow richer, not because they change, but because she is present, fully alive in each syllable. When a child, her eyes wide, whispers, "Your stories make me brave," Mira weeps, not for acclaim, but for the moment's gift, a heart awake, blooming in the present. This story unveils the inner shift of living in the present, where Mira's distraction, a mind fractured by doubt, gave way to presence. Her struggle was not her stories, but her absence from them, her heart lost in a labyrinth of elsewhere. In Zen, living in the present is this homecoming to weave with full attention, to listen with full being, to meet each moment as a sacred offering. Mira's awakening was not a thunderous revelation, but a quiet unfolding. Her voice, her breath, her life woven into the grove's eternal now. Rest now in this grove. The lotus lake's blossoms a soft invitation. Bring awareness to the breath. Its gentle rise and fall a mirror of the water's ripples. Feel its rhythm, its kinship with the grove's pulse, the bird's song, the petals' dance. Picture a routine moment, perhaps stirring a meal, threading a needle, or sitting in silence. Can you meet it as if it were new, its textures and rhythms alive with presence? Take a slow breath, letting the moment bloom, like a lotus opening to the dawn. In this presence, living in the present takes root, a quiet step into the heart of now. Another tale, spun from the threads of a groveside hamlet, delves deeper into the heart's awakening. In a small pottery shed, its walls weathered by seasons, clay dust hangs in the air, mingling with the scent of wet earth and pine from the nearby trees. A potter, Lila, shapes clay into vessels, her hands moving with the grace of years, coaxing life from the earth. Her bowls, with their gentle curves and soft glazes, are cherished, carried to homes where they hold rice, tea, or flowers. Yet, Lila's soul is a restless tide. Each turn of the wheel, a reminder of her mother's unfulfilled dreams, a healer whose hands once soothed fevers, now stilled by time. Lila works, but her mind wanders to debts piling like shards, to her daughter's future, to the life she might have lived if she'd followed her mother's path. Her childhood memories of her mother's touch now a distant ache. The shed's single window frames the grove, where sunlight filters through leaves, casting dappled shadows on the dirt floor. Each morning, as Lila spins the wheel, the clay's cool weight grounds her, but her heart is heavy. Her mother's voice be strong, never falter, echoing in the quiet. She shapes a bowl, but her thoughts drift to the village's demands, to her daughter's quiet rebellion, to the dreams she buried to keep the shed alive. One dusk, as the sky burns orange and the grove hums with crickets, a Zen teacher, her presence calm as the lake's surface, enters the shed, her eyes tracing the wheel's spin. "What do you mold?" she asks. "Clay," Lila mutters, her shoulders tense, her mother's voice a weight. The teacher touches a finished bowl, its glaze catching the fading light. "Or is it your heart?" Lila pauses, her chest tightening, years of striving heavy as earth. The teacher hands her a lump of raw clay, its texture rough and cool. "Shape this," she says, "but feel each touch." Lila sits at the wheel, the clay yielding under her fingers, the shed's quiet wrapping around her. She feels the clay's resistance, its softness, the wheel's gentle hum, a memory of her mother's hands, once kneading dough, surfacing like a forgotten song. Her mind, once a storm, quiets, each touch a breath, each curve a release. She sees her mother's dreams, not as failure, but as love, woven into her own hands. Her daughter's laughter a continuation of that legacy. Lila molds on, not to escape, but to be present. Each vessel a meditation, her heart no longer a weight, but a living pulse. The village cherishes her bowls, not for their perfection, but for their presence. Each curve a prayer. Her daughter, watching her work, begins to smile. their bond mending, not because Lila changed her, but because she was awake. This story shows that living in the present transforms labor into practice. Lila's inner turmoil softening as she met each moment with full attention. Her longing and love won in the grove's quiet song. Try this practice. If you feel called, find a comfortable position, body relaxed, breath gentle. Picture a daily task, cooking, writing, or walking. See yourself doing it, but slowly, as if it's a first encounter. If cooking, feel the knife's weight, the vegetable's texture, the scent rising. If writing, notice the pen's glide, the paper's grain, the word's birth. If walking, sense the ground's touch, the air's caress, the rhythm of steps. Take a deep breath, resting in this act, where nothing is ordinary, where all is Zen. This is living in the present, a practice of presence that turns each moment into a sacred thread. Another story, from a Zen hermitage cradled in the grove's embrace, explores the heart's quiet shift. In a small room lit by a single lantern, its flame casting golden shadows on bamboo walls, a calligrapher, Soren, brushes ink across rice paper, her strokes a dance of devotion. The air is thick with the scent of ink and cedar, the distant hum of the lake's ripples filtering through the open window. Soren's scrolls are revered, hung in temples where their characters sing of impermanence and grace. Yet, her mind is a cage, trapped by fear of imperfection, each stroke a test of her worth. She recalls her grandfather's death, the scrolls they shared now a weight of loss, his stories of distant mountains woven into her childhood, now a silent ache. Each night, as the grove settles into darkness and the stars burn bright above. Soren works, but her hand falters. Her grandfather's voice be flawless, cutting deep. She brushes a character, but her thoughts drift to the temple's expectations, to her fear of fading, to the dreams she buried to honor his legacy. One moonlit night, a stroke smudges, marring her scroll. Her heart sinks, shame flooding her, the memory of her grandfather's pride now a wound. She seeks her teacher, the ruined scroll trembling in her hands. "I've failed," she says, her voice breaking. The teacher traces the smudge, its ink a wild river under the lantern's glow. Is the scroll the ink? Or the heart, he asks, or the space between? Soren sits in the hermitage, the lantern's flame flickering, her grandfather's laughter vivid in the quiet. She sees the smudge, not as failure, but as her heart's cry, a mark of her humanity. Days pass, her brush still, her soul wrestling with the self that demands perfection. One dawn, as the grove awakens and the lake's lotuses glow, she writes anew, letting the brush dance, smudges and all. The scroll sings, not for its flawlessness, but for its truth. Her grandfather's love woven into each stroke. The teacher nods, seeing her heart's awakening. This story unveils that living in the present embraces imperfection. Soren's inner struggle transforming as she met each stroke with presence. Her pain and love one in the moment's weave. In Zen, living in the present is the art of full presence, not a destination, but a practice. The master Dogen taught, to study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by all things. This forgetting is not erasure, but a dissolving of the self's edges, a return to the grove's pulse, where each act shaping clay, brushing ink, breathing is a communion with life. When we live in the present, the ordinary becomes sacred. each moment a chime resonating in the heart of now. Let us explore a koan to deepen this truth. A monk asked her master, "What is the sound of one moment?" The master replied, "Live it and show me." The monk sat, her breath slow, her mind seeking the sound, each sensation, each thought, a fleeting note. She heard her doubts, her hopes, but no single sound. Months passed, her heart heavy with effort, memories of her sister, lost to a fire, stirring in the silence. One evening, as she swept the hermitage floor, the broom's rhythm touched her heart, and she felt her sister's smile in her hands, not separate, but part of the moment's flow. She returned, not with words, but with a quiet nod. The koan dissolved, revealing that the sound of one moment is all moments, one in the grove's endless song. This koan teaches that living in the present hears the moment as life itself, not a task, but a dance. In our lives, we often hurry, our attention splintered by distractions, devices, worries, ambitions. Zen invites us to pause, to meet each moment with full presence, to hear the world in each breath, each act. When we sweep a floor, walk a path, or listen with this attention, we awaken, not to something new, but to what has always been here, the grove's quiet pulse, alive in every gesture. Try this in your daily life. Choose a moment that feels mundane, eating, cleaning, or waiting. Meet it with full presence, as if it's your only purpose. If eating, savor the food's texture, the warmth of the spoon, the flavors unfolding. If cleaning, feel the cloths glide, the water's touch, the rhythm of your hands. If waiting, sense the air, the body's quiet pulse, the moment's depth. Pause, take a breath, resting in this act, where nothing is small, where all is Zen. This practice weaves presence into life's tapestry, each moment a spark of awakening. Another story, from a wind-swept ridge, carries this wisdom further. In a small workshop overlooking the grove, its roof thatched with straw and walls warmed by a clay hearth, a lantern maker, Ilara, crafts lights for the village. The air is rich with the scent of wax and bamboo, the soft crackle of the hearth mingling with the distant hum of the lake. Ilara's lanterns, with their paper shades and bamboo frames, glow like stars, hung in homes to ward off the night. Yet, her heart is a shadowed cave, each lantern a reminder of her son, lost to a river's current, his laughter now a memory. She works, but her mind drifts, her grief a heavy veil, her childhood memories of lighting lanterns with her son now a piercing ache. Each evening, as the grove settles into twilight and the sky burns with streaks of indigo, Ilara shapes lanterns, but her hands tremble. Her son's voice, "Mama," it's like the moon echoing in the quiet. She crafts a lantern, but her thoughts drift to the village's needs, to her fear of fading, to the dreams she buried to keep his memory alive. One starry night, a lantern tears, its light dimming, her chest aches, the loss fresh as the day it struck. She seeks a Zen teacher, her hands clutching the broken frame, the workshop's hearth casting shadows on her face. Why must they fail, she asks, her voice raw. The teacher lights the lantern, its glow soft through the tear, a warm flicker in the cool air. Is the light the paper, or the flame, he says, or the darkness it holds? Ilara sits in the workshop, the lantern's flame flickering, her son's face vivid in the quiet. She sees the tear, not as loss, but as her heart's opening, the flame alive despite the break. Days pass, her grief a river, flowing yet held in the grove's embrace. She crafts anew, not to hide the tears, but to let them shine. Each lantern a prayer for her son, for all who grieve. The village glows brighter, not for the lantern's perfection, but for their truth. Her heart no longer shadowed, but awake. This story shows that living in the present embraces both light and shadow. Alara's inner journey, transforming as she met each moment with presence. Her grief and love one in the flame's quiet dance. Another tale from a grove meadow deepens this truth. In a sunlit clearing, where wildflowers sway and the lake's lotuses shimmer, a musician, Kael, plays the shakuhachi, her breath coaxing melodies from bamboo, each note a breath of beauty. The air is warm, scented with clover and water. The grove's bird song, a soft counterpoint to her flute. Kael's music is revered, filling festivals with its haunting grace. Yet her soul is a restless tide, each performance a test. Her father's unfulfilled dreams, a painter silenced by war, echoing in her heart. She plays, but her mind wanders, to audiences' praise, to her fears of fading, to the life she might have lived if she'd chosen freedom over duty. Her childhood memories of her father's brush, now a distant ache. Each afternoon, as the grove basks in golden light and the lake reflects the sky, Kael plays, but her breath falters. Her father's voice be perfect, cutting deep. She coaxes a note, but her thoughts drift to the festival's expectations, to her fear of failure, to the dream she buried to honor his legacy. One twilight. As the sky burns crimson and the grove settles into silence, a note cracks, its tone jagged. Her heart races, shame flooding her. The memory of her father's pride now a wound. She seeks a Zen teacher, her shakuhachi silent, the meadow's wildflowers nodding in the breeze. "I failed," she says, her voice trembling. The teacher breathes a single note on the flute, its sound lingering in the air. Is the music the note? Or the silence, she asks? Or the heart that breathes? Kael sits in the meadow, the flute in her hands, her father's paintings vivid in the quiet. She sees the crack, not as failure, but as her heart's cry, a note in life's melody. Days pass, her breath still, her soul wrestling with the self that demands flawlessness. One dawn, as the grove awakens and the lake's lotuses glow, she plays anew, letting the notes flow, cracks and all. The music sings, not for its perfection, but for its truth. Her father's dreams woven into each breath. The teacher smiles, seeing her heart's awakening. This story unveils that living in the present embraces the music of imperfection. Kael's inner struggle transforming as she met each note with presence. Her pain and love one in the grove's quiet song. As a final practice, as you ease toward rest, reflect on your day and choose a moment, a task, a conversation, a quiet breath. Picture the grove's lotus lake, its blossoms radiant in the dawn, each one a moment, each one whole. See this moment as a lotus, vivid yet part of the lake's embrace. Whisper, "This is Zen." Let the moment flow, merging with the grove's song. Take a deep breath, feeling the presence within, a joy that holds each petal in its boundless heart. Rest now in this grove. The lotus lake's blossoms a gentle cradle. Your distractions, your sorrows, are like petals, part of the lake's dance, not its essence. Let them unfold and meet the world with awake eyes. A world where every moment is a chime, ringing in the heart of now. This journey, ever unfolding, returns us to the present, where the lotus blooms, eternal and whole. Take a slow breath, feeling the grove's quiet pulse, the awakening within. The lotus lake sings on, its blossoms avow in this moment. You are whole, and all is Zen. Epilogue. The mirror of the eternal now, in the embrace of a radiant canyon, where vermilion cliffs rise like ancient poets against a sky ablaze with the first light of a celestial dawn. A river carves its silver path, its waters glinting like 1,000 scattered diamonds. Cacti bloom in defiant splendor, their crimson and gold flowers unfurling against the rugged stone. While the air hums with the canyon's living pulse, hummingbirds' wings, weaving a soft drone, the rustle of sagebrush in the breeze, the river's gentle murmur as it kisses the earth. Fireflies linger in the twilight's fading glow, their amber flickers tracing arcs of light, each one a fleeting star in the vastness of the morning. The river's surface mirrors the sky, a canvas of dawn and dreams, each ripple vivid yet woven into the whole. A ceaseless dance of presence and eternity. This is the essence of Zen, a teaching that calls us to dwell fully in the present, where every breath, every sound, every heartbeat is a blooming cactus, a sacred offering to the now. In this canyon, time softens, and the heart finds its home, not in the echoes of yesterday or the promises of tomorrow, but in the boundless radiance of being. As this journey reaches its luminous close, the practice of living in the eternal now gathers the threads of mindfulness, non-attachment, beginner's heart, compassion, non-duality, and awakened presence, weaving them into a tapestry that celebrates each moment as the heart of existence, where the mind often wanders, ensnared by past regrets or future hopes. The present moment is a clear flame, illuminating the path to peace through stories, koans, teachings, and gentle guidance. Let us linger in this canyon, discovering that every act drinking from a stream, listening to the wind, or pausing to breathe holds the fullness of life. In this lingering, a joy unfolds, not from chasing, but from resting in what is, a freedom that finds the infinite in the fleeting, the eternal in the simple. Picture a weaver in a canyon-side village, her story carried on the dawn's warm breath. The village is a mosaic of adobe huts, their sun-baked walls glowing gold in the morning light, nestled among sagebrush and blooming cacti, where the scent of desert earth and wild honey lingers. Narrow paths wind between stone hearths, where smoke curls into the sky, and the distant cry of a hawk punctuates the quiet. Each dawn, Sarya, the weaver, sits at her loom in a small courtyard, its clay tiles cracked but warm underfoot, her hands threading wool dyed with ochre and indigo. For years, she has woven blankets that warm the village, her fingers dancing with the rhythm of the shuttle, her tapestries a testament to her skill. Yet, her heart is a restless wanderer, shadowed by doubt. Her work, though cherished, feels empty, a pale echo of her mother's unfulfilled dream to be a dancer. Her grace, once lighting the village square, now a silent ache. Each morning, as the canyon awakens, its cliffs catching the sun's first rays in a blaze of crimson, Saraya weaves. But her mind drifts to the village's demands, to the fear of failing her family, to the childhood memories of her mother's twirling skirts. now a distant echo. Her hands move, but her soul is elsewhere. Each blanket a duty, her dreams of freedom buried beneath the loom's weight. Her mother's illness, which stole her dance before her death, lingers in Sarya's chest, a knot of unspoken love. Each thread she weaves a plea to keep her spirit alive, yet a reminder of her own unstepped dances. One radiant morning, as dew glistens on the cacti and the river's song weaves through the air, a Zen teacher, her robes the color of dawn's haze, pauses by the courtyard, her presence as quiet as the water's flow. Sarya weaves a blanket, her movements hurried, but the teacher meets her gaze. "Where are you when you thread the wool?" she asks. Her voice soft as the canyon's breeze, Sarya's breath catches. A memory of her mother's laughter before sickness dimmed her light, stirring like a forgotten ember. "I'm here," she says, but her voice trembles, betraying the truth. The teacher hands her a small, sun-warmed stone from the riverbank, its surface smooth and flecked with quartz that glints in the sunlight. "Hold this," she says, "and weave a single thread for it." Sarya hesitates, her fingers tracing the stone's contours, a flicker of her mother's hand, once guiding hers to spin, surfacing like a half-remembered dream. She sits at the loom, the stone in her palm, its weight grounding her. She threads a single strand, feeling the wool's texture, the shuttle's glide, the loom's gentle creak. For the first time, she notices the thread's vibrant hue, its rhythm a quiet song. Her heart present in each motion, the river's murmur a soft chorus. Her doubts do not vanish, but they pause, cradled in the stone's silent hold. "When you weave, weave," the teacher says. "When you breathe, breathe." Sarya returns to the courtyard, her hands unsteady, her heart cracking open like a cactus flower. She weaves a new blanket, feeling the wool's softness, the loom's pulse, the canyon's warm breath. Each thread becomes a meditation, a tether to the now. Her mother's face, etched with pride, fills her mind, not as loss, but as presence, woven into her hands. Over months, her blankets grow richer, not because they change, but because she is present, fully alive in each fiber. When a child, her eyes wide, wraps a blanket around her shoulders, whispering, "It feels like home." Sarya weeps, not for her mother's absence, but for the moment's gift, a heart awake, blooming in the present. This story unveils the inner shift of living in the present, where Sarya's doubt, a heart fractured by loss, gave way to presence. Her struggle was not her weaving, but her absence from it. Her soul lost in a labyrinth of sorrow. In Zen, living in the present is this homecoming to weave with full attention, to breathe with full being, to meet each moment as a sacred offering. Sarya's awakening was not a grand epiphany, but a quiet unfolding. Her hands, her breath, her life woven into the canyon's eternal now, rest now in this canyon. The river's starlit waters, a soft invitation. Bring awareness to the breath, its gentle rise and fall, a mirror of the river's flow. Feel its rhythm, its kinship with the canyon's pulse, the hummingbird's drone, the cacti's bloom. Picture a routine moment, perhaps stirring a meal, threading a needle, or sitting in silence. Can you meet it as if it were new? Its textures and rhythms alive with presence. Take a slow breath, letting the moment bloom, like a cactus flower opening to the dawn. In this presence, living in the present takes root. a quiet step into the heart of now. Another tale, spun from the threads of a canyon-side settlement, delves deeper into the heart's awakening. In a small pottery shed, its adobe walls warmed by a stone hearth. The air is thick with the scent of wet clay and sage, the faint hum of the river filtering through a woven curtain. A potter, Kadir, shapes clay into vessels, his hands moving with the grace of decades, coaxing life from the earth. His bowls, with their gentle curves and earthy glazes, are cherished, carried to homes where they hold bread, water, or flowers. Yet, Kadir's soul is a restless tide. Each turn of the wheel a reminder of his father's unfulfilled dreams, a musician whose songs were silenced by war, now stilled by time. Kadir works, but his mind wanders to debts piling like shards, to his daughter's future, to the life he might have lived if he'd followed his father's path. His childhood memories of his father's melodies, now a distant ache. The shed's hearth casts a warm glow, its crackle mingling with the canyon's night sounds, coyotes howling, cacti rustling. Each morning, as Kadir spins the wheel, the clay's cool weight grounds him, but his heart is heavy. His father's voice be strong, never falter, echoing in the quiet. He shapes a bowl, but his thoughts drift to the village's demands, to his daughter's quiet rebellion, to the dreams he buried to keep the shed alive. One dusk, as the sky burns orange and the canyon glows, a Zen teacher, her presence calm as the river's surface, enters the shed, her eyes tracing the wheel's spin. "What do you mold?" she asks. "Clay," Kadir mutters, his shoulders tense, his father's voice a weight. The teacher touches a finished bowl, its glaze catching the hearth's light. "Or is it your heart?" Kadir pauses, his chest tightening, years of striving heavy as earth. The teacher hands him a lump of raw clay, its texture rough and cool, scented with the canyon's dust. "Shape this," she says, "but feel each touch." Kadir sits at the wheel, the clay yielding under his fingers, the shed's quiet wrapping around him. He feels the clay's resistance, its softness, the wheel's gentle hum, a memory of his father's hands, once strumming a lute, surfacing like a forgotten song. His mind, once a storm, quiets. Each touch a breath, each curve a release. He sees his father's dreams, not as failure, but as love, woven into his own hands. His daughter's laughter, a continuation of that legacy. Kadir molds on, not to escape, but to be present. Each vessel a meditation, his heart no longer a weight, but a living pulse. The village cherishes his bowls, not for their perfection, but for their presence. Each curve a prayer. His daughter, watching him work, begins to smile, their bond mending, not because Kadir changed her, but because he was awake. This story shows that living in the present transforms labor into practice. Kadir's inner turmoil softening as he met each moment with full attention. His longing and love, one in the canyon's quiet song. Try this practice. If you feel called, find a comfortable position, body relaxed, breath gentle. Picture a daily task: cooking, writing, or walking. See yourself doing it, but slowly, as if it's a first encounter. If cooking, feel the knife's weight, the vegetable's texture, the scent rising. If writing, notice the pen's glide, the paper's grain, the word's birth. If walking, sense the ground's touch, the air's caress, the rhythm of steps. Take a deep breath, resting in this act, where nothing is ordinary, where all is Zen. This is living in the present, a practice of presence that turns each moment into a sacred thread. Another story, from a Zen hermitage cradled in the canyon's embrace, explores the heart's quiet shift. In a small room lit by a single lantern, its flame casting golden shadows on sandstone walls, a calligrapher, Neela, brushes ink across rice paper, her strokes a dance of devotion. The air is rich with the scent of ink and desert bloom. The distant hum of the river filtering through a woven screen. Neela's scrolls are revered, hung in shrines where their characters sing of impermanence and grace. Yet, her mind is a cage, trapped by fear of imperfection, each stroke a test of her worth. She recalls her grandmother's death, the scrolls they shared now a weight of loss. Her stories of distant mountains woven into Neela's childhood, now a silent ache. Each night, as the canyon settles into darkness and the stars burn bright, Neela works, but her hand falters, her grandmother's voice be flawless, cutting deep. She brushes a character, but her thoughts drift to the shrine's expectations, to her fear of fading, to the dreams she buried to honor her legacy. One moonlit night, a stroke smudges, marring her scroll. Her heart sinks, shame flooding her, the memory of her grandmother's pride now a wound. She seeks her teacher, the ruined scroll trembling in her hands, the lantern's glow soft on her face. "I've failed," she says, her voice breaking. The teacher traces the smudge, its ink a wild river under the light. Is the scroll the ink, or the heart, he asks, or the space between? Neela sits in the hermitage, the lantern's flame flickering, her grandmother's laughter vivid in the quiet. She sees the smudge, not as failure, but as her heart's cry, a mark of her humanity. Days pass, her brush still, her soul wrestling with the self that demands perfection. One dawn, as the canyon awakens and the river's waters glow, she writes anew, letting the brush dance, smudges and all. The scroll sings, not for its flawlessness, but for its truth, her grandmother's love woven into each stroke. The teacher nods, seeing her heart's awakening. This story unveils that living in the present embraces imperfection. Neela's inner struggle transforming as she met each stroke with presence. Her pain and love one in the moment's weave. In Zen, living in the present is the art of full presence, not a destination, but a practice. The Master Dogen taught, to study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by all things. This forgetting is not erasure, but a dissolving of the self's edges, a return to the canyon's pulse, where each act, shaping clay, brushing ink, breathing is a communion with life. When we live in the present, the ordinary becomes sacred, each moment a chime resonating in the heart of now. Let us explore a koan to deepen this truth. A monk asked her master, "What is the taste of one moment?" The master replied, "Live it and show me." The monk sat, her breath slow, her mind seeking to taste each sensation, each thought a fleeting flavor. She heard her doubts, her hopes, but no single taste. Months passed, her heart heavy with effort, memories of her brother, lost to a flood, stirring in the silence. One evening, as she stirred a pot in the hermitage kitchen, the steam's warmth touched her face, and she felt her brother's smile in her hands, not separate, but part of the moment's flow. She returned, not with words, but with a quiet nod. The koan dissolved, revealing that the taste of one moment is all moments. One in the canyon's endless song. This koan teaches that living in the present savors the moment as life itself, not a task, but a dance. In our lives, we often rush, our attention fractured by distractions, devices, worries, ambitions. Zen invites us to pause, to meet each moment with full presence, to taste the world in each breath, each act. When we stir a pot, walk a path, or listen with this attention, we awaken, not to something new, but to what has always been here, the canyon's quiet pulse, alive in every gesture. Try this in your daily life. Choose a moment that feels mundane, eating, cleaning, or waiting. Meet it with full presence, as if it's your only purpose. If eating, savor the food's texture, the warmth of the spoon, the flavors unfolding. If cleaning, feel the cloths glide, the water's touch, the rhythm of your hands. If waiting, sense the air, the body's quiet pulse, the moment's depth. Pause. Take a breath, resting in this act, where nothing is small, where all is Zen. This practice weaves presence into life's tapestry. Each moment a spark of awakening, another story. From a windswept dune carries this wisdom further, in a small tent pitched among the cacti, its canvas walls fluttering in the desert breeze. A lantern maker, Zara, crafts lights for the village. The air is warm, scented with wax and acacia, the soft glow of her lanterns casting patterns on the sand floor. Zara's lanterns, with their paper shades and bamboo frames, glow like stars, hung in tents to ward off the night. Yet, her heart is a shadowed cave, each lantern a reminder of her daughter, lost to a fever, her laughter now a memory. She works, but her mind drifts, her grief a heavy veil, her childhood memories of lighting lanterns with her daughter now a piercing ache. Each evening, as the canyon settles into twilight and the sky burns with streaks of indigo, Zara shapes lanterns, but her hands tremble. Her daughter's voice, Mama. It's like a star echoing in the quiet. She crafts a lantern, but her thoughts drift to the village's needs, to her fear of fading, to the dreams she buried to keep her daughter's memory alive. One starry night, a lantern tears, its light dimming, the tense shadows deepening. Her chest aches, the loss fresh as the day it struck. She seeks a Zen teacher, her hands clutching the broken frame. The lantern's glow faint in the desert air. Why must they fail? She asks, her voice raw. The teacher lights the lantern, its glow soft through the tear. A warm flicker in the cool night. Is the light the paper? Or the flame, he says? Or the darkness it holds? Zara sits in the tent, the lantern's flame flickering, her daughter's face vivid in the quiet. She sees the tear, not as loss, but as her heart's opening, the flame alive despite the break. Days pass, her grief a river, flowing yet held in the canyon's embrace. She crafts anew, not to hide the tears, but to let them shine. Each lantern a prayer for her daughter, for all who grieve. The village glows brighter, not for the lantern's perfection, but for their truth. Her heart no longer shadowed, but awake. This story shows that living in the present embraces both light and shadow. Zara's inner journey transforming as she met each moment with presence. Her grief and love one in the flame's quiet dance. Another tale from a canyon meadow deepens this truth. In a sunlit clearing where wildflowers sway and the river's waters shimmer, a musician, Elias, plays the sitar, his fingers coaxing melodies from strings. each note a breath of beauty. The air is warm, scented with sage and water. The canyon's birdsong a soft counterpoint to his music. Elias's melodies are revered, filling gatherings with their haunting grace. Yet his soul is a restless tide, each performance a test. His father's unfulfilled dreams, a poet silenced by exile, echoing in his heart. He plays, but his mind wanders to audiences' praise, to his fears of fading, to the life he might have lived if he'd chosen freedom over duty. His childhood memories of his father's verses now a distant ache each afternoon. As the canyon basks in golden light and the river reflects the sky, Elias plays, but his breath falters, his father's voice be perfect cutting deep. He coaxes a note, but his thoughts drift to the gathering's expectations, to his fear of failure, to the dreams he buried to honor his legacy. One twilight, as the sky burns crimson and the canyon settles into silence, a note cracks, its tone jagged. His heart races, shame flooding him. The memory of his father's pride now a wound. He seeks a Zen teacher, his sitar silent, the meadow's wildflowers nodding in the breeze. "I failed," he says, his voice trembling. The teacher breathes a single note on the sitar, its sound lingering in the air. Is the music the note, or the silence she asks, or the heart that breathes? Elias sits in the meadow, the sitar in his hands, his father's poems vivid in the quiet. He sees the crack, not as failure, but as his heart's cry, a note in life's melody. Days pass, his breath still, his soul wrestling with the self that demands flawlessness. One dawn, as the canyon awakens and the river's waters glow, he plays anew, letting the notes flow, cracks and all. The music sings, not for its perfection, but for its truth, his father's dreams woven into each breath. The teacher smiles, seeing his heart's awakening. This story unveils that living in the present embraces the music of imperfection. Elias's inner struggle transforming as he met each note with presence, his pain and love one in the canyon's quiet song. As a final practice, as you ease toward rest, reflect on your day and choose a moment, a task, a conversation, a quiet breath. Picture the canyon's starlit river, its waters radiant in the dawn, each ripple a moment, each one whole. See this moment as a star, vivid, yet part of the river's embrace. Whisper, "This is Zen." Let the moment flow, merging with the canyon's song. Take a deep breath, feeling the presence within, a joy that holds each star in its boundless heart. Rest now in this canyon, the river's starlit waters a gentle cradle. Your distractions, your sorrows, are like ripples part of the river's dance, not its essence. Let them unfold and meet the world with awake eyes, a world where every moment is a chime, ringing in the heart of now. This journey, ever unfolding, returns us to the present, where the star blooms, eternal and whole. Take a slow breath, feeling the canyon's quiet pulse, the awakening within. The river sings on, its ripples a vow in this moment. You are whole, and all is Zen. Conclusion. The lotus blooms in twilight. As twilight weaves its silken veil over the luminous grove, a hush falls, soft as the breath of the ancient trees, their branches swaying in a gentle breeze that carries the scent of jasmine and damp earth. The lotus-filled lake at the grove's heart shimmers under the fading light, its blossoms glowing like lanterns, each petal a delicate prayer to the gathering stars. The air pulses with the grove's serene rhythm, a chorus of crickets weaving through the stillness, the whisper of leaves brushing against one another, the tender ripple of water kissing mossy stones. Fireflies emerge from the shadows, their golden flickers tracing spirals above the lake, like stardust scattered by an unseen hand, each spark a fleeting hymn to the moment. The lake's surface mirrors the twilight sky, a tapestry of indigo and silver, each lotus vivid in its singular beauty, yet woven into the water's boundless embrace, a seamless dance of form and flow, of now and eternity. This is the heart of Zen, a teaching that beckons us to rest fully in the present, where every breath, every sound, every heartbeat is a lotus blooming, a sacred offering to the now. In this twilight, time softens, and the heart finds its home, not in the echoes of yesterday or the dreams of tomorrow, but in the boundless radiance of being. As this journey draws to its gentle close, the practice of living in the eternal now gathers the threads of mindfulness, non-attachment, beginner's heart, compassion, non-duality, and awakened presence, weaving them into a luminous whole that celebrates each moment as the heart of existence, where the mind often wanders, ensnared by the shadows of what was or the hopes of what might be. The present moment is a clear flame, illuminating the path to peace. Through a final story, a reflective teaching, and a gentle practice, let us linger in this grove, discovering that every act sipping tea, listening to the wind, or pausing to breathe holds the fullness of life. In this lingering, a joy unfolds, not from chasing, but from resting in what is, a freedom that finds the infinite in the fleeting, the eternal in the simple. Picture a baker in a grove-side village. Her story carried on the twilight's velvet breath. The village is a patchwork of stone cottages, their thatched roofs silvered by moonlight, nestled among wildflower meadows and towering oaks, where the scent of wood smoke and fresh bread lingers. Cobblestone paths wind between herb gardens, where the hum of night insects and the distant hoot of an owl fill the air. Each dawn, Amara, the baker, rises in her small bakery, its wooden beams warmed by a clay oven, the air thick with the aroma of yeast and flour. For years, she has kneaded dough, her hands shaping loaves that nourish the village crusty rounds for breakfast, sweet rolls for festivals. Yet, her heart is a restless wanderer, shadowed by sorrow, her sister's death, a wound that festers. Her laughter, once filling the bakery, now a silent ache. Each morning, as the grove awakens, its trees catching the first rays in a shimmer of emerald, Amara kneads and bakes, but her mind drifts to the village's needs, to the fear of failing her family, to the childhood memories of her sister's hands, once tossing dough beside hers, now a distant echo. Her fingers move, but her soul is elsewhere, each loaf a duty. Her dreams of singing the meadow songs buried beneath the oven's heat, her sister's illness, which stole her life in a quiet bed, lingers in Amara's chest, a knot of unspoken love. Each loaf she bakes a plea to keep her spirit alive, yet a reminder of her own unsung melodies. One twilight, as the sky deepens to sapphire and the lake's lotuses glow. A Zen teacher, his robes the color of starlit mist, pauses by the bakery, his presence as quiet as the water's flow. Amara shapes a loaf, her movements hurried, but the teacher meets her gaze. "Where are you when you need the dough?" he asks. His voice, soft as the grove's breeze. Amara's breath catches. A memory of her sister's giggle before sickness dimmed her light, stirring like a forgotten ember. "I'm here," she says, but her voice trembles, betraying the truth. The teacher hands her a small, warm seed from the grove's wildflowers, its surface rough and flecked with gold that glints under the lantern's glow. "Hold this," he says, "and knead a single loaf for it." Amara hesitates, her fingers tracing the seed's tiny form, a flicker of her sister's hand, once guiding hers to knead, surfacing like a half-remembered song. She stands at her table, the seed in her palm, its weight grounding her. She kneads, feeling the dough's yield, the flour's softness, the rhythm of her hands. For the first time, she notices the dough's warmth, its elastic give, her heart present in each motion. The lake's gentle ripples, a soft chorus. Her sorrow does not vanish, but it pauses, cradled in the seed's silent hold. "When you need, the teacher says. "When you breathe, breathe." Amara returns to her bakery, her hands unsteady, her heart cracking open like a lotus petal. She bakes a new loaf, feeling the dough's texture, the oven's heat, the grove's quiet breath. Each act becomes a meditation, a tether to the now. Her sister's face, etched with love, fills her mind, not as loss, but as presence, woven into her hands. Over months, her bakery thrives, not because the bread changes, but because she is present, fully alive in each crust. When a child, her eyes wide, offers her a woven braid, whispering, "Your bread tastes like joy." Amara weeps, not for her sister's absence, but for the moment's gift, a heart awake, blooming in the present. This story unveils the inner shift of living in the present, where Amara's sorrow, a heart fractured by loss, gave way to presence. Her struggle was not her bread, but her absence from it, her soul lost in a labyrinth of grief. In Zen, living in the present is this homecoming to need with full attention, to breathe with full being, to meet each moment as a sacred offering. Amara's awakening was not a thunderous revelation, but a quiet unfolding. Her hands, her breath, her life woven into the grove's eternal now. Rest now in this grove. The Lotus Lake's twilight blossoms a soft invitation. Bring awareness to the breath, its gentle rise and fall, a mirror of the water's ripples. Feel its rhythm, its kinship with the grove's pulse, the cricket's chant, the firefly's glow. Picture a routine moment, perhaps sipping tea, sweeping a floor, or listening to a loved one. Can you meet it as if it were new? Its textures and rhythms alive with presence. Take a slow breath, letting the moment bloom, like a lotus catching the starlight. In this presence, living in the present takes root. A quiet return to the heart of now. This journey, through tales of weavers and potters, calligraphers and musicians, water bearers and lantern makers, and now bakers, has been a pilgrimage to the present, a voyage to the eternal, now, where all paths converge. Mindfulness has taught us to observe the mind's ripples, seeing thoughts as clouds, not the sky. Non-attachment has shown us to release our grip, letting the river's reflection dance without grasping. Beginner's heart has opened our eyes, revealing the wonder in a seed, a note, a breath. Compassion has softened our hearts, weaving us into the tapestry of all beings, their joys and sorrows our own. Non-duality has dissolved the lines between self and world, form and emptiness, showing us the unity beneath all things. Living awake has brought us to each moment, each act a meditation, each breath a prayer. Together, these teachings form a single truth. The present is the only place where life unfolds, the only place where we are truly home. Yet, this is not a farewell, but a new beginning. Zen is not a summit to reach, but a path to walk, breath by breath, moment by moment. The grove, with its lotus lake, is not a distant realm, but a reflection of your own heart, ever present, ever now. As the Zen master Dogen taught, if you cannot find the truth right where you are, where else do you expect to find it? This journey has been an invitation to find that truth, to rest in the peace and clarity that bloom when we are fully present for this precious human life. The stories of Sarya, Kadir, Nila, Zara, Elias, Alara, and Amara are not mere tales, but mirrors of your own heart, reminders that each moment holds the seed of awakening. As we walk this path, we discover that what we've been seeking, peace, meaning, connection, is not found elsewhere, but in the quality of our attention to what's already here. The extraordinary is revealed within the ordinary when we learn to see with fresh eyes and to meet life directly, unclouded by the veil of habitual thought. In this direct meeting, we find the freedom and peace that have been our birthright all along. May this exploration of Zen wisdom serve as a doorway to your own direct experience, your own discovery of the clarity and joy that are always available when you rest in the present. Fully awake to this fleeting, precious life, this path is walked one breath at a time, one moment of presence at a time. And in this very moment, right here, the journey both begins anew and finds its completion. With heartfelt gratitude for sharing this path, for the timeless wisdom of Zen carried by countless teachers across generations, and for the quiet presence that has guided us, we bow to the grove, to the lotus lake, to the eternal now. May this wisdom continue to light your way through life's storms and sunlit days, a gentle flame in the twilight of each moment. Beyond all teachings, beyond all words, lies your own direct experience, the true teacher that has been with you all along. We bow in gratitude to the lineage of Zen masters who have preserved this wisdom, to all beings who support this practice, and to you for your sincere heart in walking this timeless path. As the lotus blooms in the twilight, may you carry this presence into each moment, finding peace in the heart of now. Try this final practice as you drift toward rest. To anchor this journey in your heart, reflect on your day and choose a moment, a task, a conversation, a quiet breath. Picture the grove's lotus lake, its blossoms radiant in the twilight, each one a moment, each one whole. See this moment as a lotus, vivid yet part of the lake's embrace. Whisper, "This is Zen." Let the moment flow, merging with the grove's song. Take a deep breath, feeling the presence within, a joy that holds each petal in its boundless heart. As you rest, let this practice be a seed, blooming in each new moment, a quiet vow to live awake, fully present in the eternal now. Rest now in this grove. The lotus lake's twilight blossoms a gentle cradle. Your distractions, your sorrows, are like ripples, part of the lake's dance, not its essence. Let them unfold and meet the world with awake eyes, a world where where every moment is a chime, ringing in the heart of now. This journey, ever unfolding, returns us to the present, where the lotus blooms, eternal and whole. Take a slow breath, feeling the grove's quiet pulse, the awakening within. The lotus lake sings on, its blossoms a vow in this moment. You are whole, and all is Zen.